Welcome to Gabbing Games for Friday, February 4th. I appreciate you being here, you old fucksticks. Good to see you. Obviously, we are going to talk about the... we're going to talk a little bit about the horror games coming out in 2022 later on in the show. I appreciate you being here. Happy Friday, happy weekend. Let me just get all this set up real quick. Papa Jaffe, you're scared. Don't worry about it. One time I went to an abandoned construction site, says a cab, and on the stairway I glimpsed a weird homeless guy. I started running as fast as I could. Well, yeah, but there's nothing supernatural about that. I have never had a supernatural experience, which bothers me. I would like to have one. Okay, so we have that. Excuse me, we have that. Just got to get all this up and running. Man, I'll tell you something. I had a Jolly Rancher right before the show. Something went down the wrong good goddamn pipe. I don't like it. I don't like it. Good to see everybody. Let us begin the show. Hello, Eric Lennon. Eric Lennon is the craziest little human. So, Eric Lennon asked me on the show yesterday, he says, Jaffe, what if I dated your daughter, my 18-year-old daughter? And I was like, you know, she's an adult. She can do whatever she wants. Send me a picture. And I told her this last night. We were driving around. She drove me to 7-Eleven. And I told her, and she just started laughing. She thought it was the funniest thing. And I says, do you want to see a picture of this guy? Because he follows me on the Twitter. And she's like, no, because honestly, if I think he's just really not dateable for me, I would feel bad about giving you a response that I know you would share with people. So I said, okay. So yes, but let's be clear, Eric, you will never. Well, I mean, you know, it's really up to her. It's really up to her, not up to me. I can't tell her who to date. Mr. Edgelord, hey buddy, he says, do you think aspartame, which is the shit in the Coke, is bad for you? Oh yeah, there's zero doubt. This is horrible. I've said often, and I believe it, that we're gonna have the Senate eventually pull people up in front of from the Coke and the soda companies one day, just like they did with the cigarette companies back in the 80s, and they're going to have to come clean about what the fuck this shit is. What the fuck this shit is. Aspartame is 200 times sweeter than sugar. I don't know what it is. I just know it's not good for you. Julio says, in the house I grew up in, we used to see shadow people. It was never scary for me, just really intriguing. Yeah, I mean, look, man, I think the funny thing about Ghost, I mean, I've never met one, seen one, but I would suggest that if I did, I would be thrilled out of my fucking mind, because it means consciousness, or some aspect of consciousness, survives death. How is that not the greatest goddamn thing in the goddamn world? Gravedoll maybe a little bit later. I would like to get through a lot of the gaming stuff first, then we'll talk about the horror games. Can someone make a living today just by blogging? Yeah, sure, but it's rarer now than it ever was. I mean, but certainly anybody can build an audience. There's a theory that I like. I'm under the impression it's true, and it's called it's called the 1,000 True Fans theory, which is basically if you can get 1,000 super fans, and that will naturally create other fans that sort of ripple out from those 1,000, and you can make $100 off those fans once a year, you'll make $100K, which mostly is enough to live depending on where you live, right? So sure, I mean, I think blogging is harder now. A lot of people don't want to read. I follow a wonderful writer, Drew McWeeny. I know, McWeeny. He used to write for Ain't It Cool News. Now he had a falling out, as I think many did, because of the guy who ran it was kind of, I don't know the whole story, but he was kind of a bad dude, at least in part. Harry Knowles was his name. And anyway, and he has a newsletter now. I think it's a Substack or something, and he charges like $5-6 a month to read, and it's just a blog basically. And he I don't know how he does, but I mean, that's, eventually he will build up enough fan base that he could survive on that and make a living on that. Maybe he already does. How many super fans do I have? I know I have a few. I certainly don't have 1,000. I don't have 1,000. But I certainly have a wonderful group of super fans, and looky-loos that I appreciate every single time they show up here, whether they communicate, whether they mod, whether they super chat, whether they join, doesn't matter. If you're just lurking in the back, not a problem, pal. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So that's nasty, though, says VVLM. It's too commercial. You're talking about fans, says VV. Do you not think, I mean, this is why video game fans sometimes are the dumbest fans. Not all of them, not most of them, but there's a lot of vocal dumb video game fans. Because do you not think Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft sit around and talk to you about you as if you're not just a number on a spreadsheet? I mean, that's not how I think about you. Personally, I have relationships with a lot of you guys that we talk on Discord and on movie night and all that. But of course, absolutely, yes, it's all commercial. No one's doing it for free. I mean, some people would. I did for a while and I would again, but I'd prefer not to. Big Alan Philly, he says, hey now, lurking. I'm glad you're lurking, buddy. Thank you so much. You're a good lurker. Get a smoke of the pipe. Tones Mix says, little Jason Schreier's a super fan. Can you imagine if he was like so ashamed, and his wife like discovers him in the closet like of their home one night. It's like, Jason? She calls him Little Jason too. It's emasculating, which he enjoys. Little Jason, you get back in bed, or what are you doing? Give me your phone. I want to see what you're doing. Are you texting another girl? No. You're subscribing to David Jaffe's podcast. You son of a bitch. Get back in bed. That's my little fantasy. That's what I like to think about as I'm falling asleep. Listen, I want to show you something before we get rolling. I got this in the mail. As you guys know, I'm a fan of the pipe. I do not smoke. Every now and then I'll smoke pot through a vape, but I don't smoke. I just like to chew on these. Well, I got these from Game On Daily. One is a Lord of the Rings tree. You can't see it. It's too dark. And one is Sweet Tooth. It says Jaffe on it, but the stem broke. So I'm waiting for stems to come in the mail, but in the meantime, I ordered a couple of new pipes just to have them in case I chew off the stem again, which I inevitably will because I can't help it. So this one just came today. So this will be the new pipe, or a new pipe. I'm going to always go back to those classics, but this will be a new pipe. I don't know what it is. Let's see. Got it on the internet. Okay, it is it's got some kind of marbled, I don't know what you call those, bowls. And then see, the nice thing about it is the stem is big and thick. Shut up. The stem is big and thick, so I can chew on it to my heart's content. And, you know, it's not going to, if it breaks, it'll take a long while to break. Okay. Okay, VVLM says, but I was talking about you and the way you personally view your fans. A super fan is worth $100 USD. VVLMM, God, get a better name. Quilted top. Okay. Let's explain. What did I preface that comment with, my good sir? I said there is a theory, not my theory. In fact, it was from the guy who was the original editor and perhaps even creator of Wired magazine, who coined the phrase 100 true fans, and he also went on to describe it. He's the one that attributes the $100 to the 1,000 fans. And then in his theory, he says, of course, that's scalable. So he says, you know, you could have, 1,000 true fans, $100. You could have 500 and they could spend $200. I'm just quoting you back the theory. If you don't believe me, Google the goddamn thing. Max B, thank you, pal. Max B NZ, thank you, from New Zealand, where the hobbits roam. I bet you never get tired of hearing that, pal. It's like, we do other things in New Zealand, you fuck. Listen, Maxwell B says, Jaffe, why does everybody call you Jaffe and not David? Well, you know, close friends probably, when I think about them, they call me David. But the only name I've never liked is Dave. I don't like being called Dave. Now I'm sure I'll get 20 people calling me Dave. Fine, but yeah, I mean, so I don't like Dave. Jaffe, though, I think people just maybe because I don't know, maybe just because it was different enough that it was an easy way to differentiate me from the other Davids, which is a fairly common name. But I absolutely did not mind it, not at all. VV says, I was thanking for the super chat though. He says, I was just commenting that a nasty theory, and I thought you would share the same understanding. I don't think it's a nasty theory. Basically, the guy, this all came about, I swear to God, Jim Ryan says, Dave is my safe word. That's right. And it's also, yeah, we used to call this the Jaffe stream. It's different and it rolls off the tongue. You goddamn right it does. But listen though, so the reason this even came up, if you remember, someone said, can you make a living blogging? Can you make money from blogging? And the whole point of this theory was, and it's actually a wonderful theory. I love the theory, whether or not it's, you know, it's actually 100% true or not. This is why the theory is actually quite powerful and quite inspiring, is that what he says is, look, he says, you know, take blogging, the guy who asked about blogging, right? He, you know, yeah, it's hard. It's always been hard to make a living as a blogger. It's always been hard to make a living as somebody who talks on YouTube or somebody who makes Twitch videos or whatever, not Twitch videos, but Twitch streams or YouTube videos, whatever. But he says, end of the day, it's probably doable to find 1,000 people all over the world because you have the internet now and you no longer have the limitations that geographical borders create for us. And in that, it's not going to take you too long as what you're selling isn't utter shit, to find enough fans that will support you doing anything. And the example he gave, I forget the kind of metal it was, but it was like a subset of a subset of a subset of metal, like metal music. He says, you know, back in the day, you know, it would have been like you could have been in Nebraska and you were the only person there who listened and loved and followed, let's just call it, you know, steampunk metal. That's not what it's called, but you know what I'm saying. He says, but now with the internet, you find your whole community, right? And he says the great thing about that is now, because those communities are basically, I mean, we got a guy from New Zealand watching right now, for God's fucking sakes. He lives in a fucking hobbit hole right now, for God's fucking sakes. Okay? So you can find the people who vibe with what you vibe with, and you can make money at it so that that's what you can do. You can provide them steampunk metal news every day at 5 o'clock. You can provide them interviews with the bands that are the premier steampunk metal bands. You see that as gross. You see that as a nasty theory. I see that as a way to take power away from the gatekeepers of traditional media and say, no, we don't need the movie studios, the record companies, the publishing companies to tell us what's good enough anymore. We can find exactly what we want now. Come on. How can you be against that theory? Come on now. Let me get that super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, pal. Yeah. Chris says, ooh, keep your steampunk metal in Nebraska. Actually sounds kind of good. The dude says I'm watching from the top of a Dutch windmill right now. I think I can make 1,000 people hate me enough to pay me $100 a year to shut up, says John. Let's see what happens. Hello, Saltiest Gamer. We're just talking about the 1,000 true fans theory. We haven't even gotten into the video games. Legend says, trying to be one of the whales for Jaffe's next game as a service. Thank you, pal. Somebody did ask me, I appreciate that, Legends, very, very much. Somebody did ask me, what it would take to get me back into games. I get asked that probably 2 or 3 times. I get asked that about 2 or 3 times a week. Right now, nothing. I have no interest in going back into games right now, but you never know. You never fucking know. If Sony called up and said, hey, you interested in helping out on a God of War 2.5D Castlevania meets God of War, I'd go, let's have a real conversation about that. But for the most part, probably not. Wait until Asia makes baby steampunk metal polka popular. Get rid of the polka part, Uncle Filthy, and I'm there with you. Cab says he's watching from the window across the street. You've not met the neighbors, my friend. We'll talk about Google Stadia. Bacon Magma has been trying to get it on my radar since he got here. I know, it's on the list. We are going to talk about it. Okay. I love the pipe. Come on now. Hey, Kanji. Hey, buddy. He says, hey, man, thank you for the super chat. He says, Jaffe, long-time lurker here. Because of time differences, I don't get to catch you live often. Thanks for the hugely entertaining shows. Cheers. Cheers to you, Kanji. Kanji. I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate your Kanye West glasses. I went and saw the Glow Tour when he made those glasses very, very popular. And more than that, Lupe Fiasco was there. Rihanna was there before she was Rihanna. She had Umbrella, but she didn't have any of her big other hits. And then NERD was there. And then Kanye comes out wearing those fucking glasses. You could buy, obviously, $30 to buy the glasses at the show, blah, blah, blah. The point is this. I appreciate you speaking up. I know it's not hard it's hard for some lurkers. Because of that, you're going to get a smoke of the brand new pipe. Look at that. Do. And Kanji, that's for you, baby. Okay. Thank you, bud. Seriously. And Legend says the industry has been kind of boring without you. You mean since I've been... Well, I'm in this industry now. How about this industry, bitch? Haha, zing. Not you. I'm talking about the industry. Come on now. You got this industry's better with me in it. You know it is. Come on. Otherwise, what are you going to watch? I'm not even going to name names. I agree with you, Jaffe, about the super fans. I just think calling it super fans that are worth $100 is a lot like talking about whales. I'm all about being independently creative. You know this. I know. I'm just telling you the theory. Go look it up. It's really a fascinating theory. You like meditation, you should get some cherry pipe tobacco. The problem is I smoked my dad's pipe on and off when I was a kid. And, I liked it. I didn't like it when I was little. I was just like, and I liked the smell of it. And I liked when he smoked cigars. I fear that if I started smoking tobacco out of a pipe, I wouldn't stop. I would love it too much. I mean, I just like to imagine it, and it's fun. Oh, I remember the smell. I still remember the smell. All right, let's talk about video games. Come on, you guys. Enough of this nonsense. Enough of this malarkey, as our fine President Joe Biden likes to call it. You think he still fucks his wife? I bet he does. We know Obama and Michelle fucked. I do not think Trump fucked his wife at all, but I think he fucked Minnie during his presidency. But I absolutely do not think that Melania... Is that her name? Melania Trump or Ivanka? I don't fucking know these people. I think they weren't fucking at all. The point is this, though. I want to talk to you guys about assholes on the internet for a little bit. We'll get to the racism in just a second. I've never smoked weed out of a pipe. No. Uncle Filthy says, hopefully Jill Biden, who was a looker back in her day, that's the goddamn honest truth. Hopefully he makes his wife call her Uncle Joe. Can you imagine? Okay, listen. So this is what happened. We know what happened yesterday. By the way, anybody wants to call in, it's Friday, fuck it. Get on the thing in the Discord. We'll talk about whatever tickles your nether regions. Okay, so yesterday on the goddamn Discord, or on the goddamn show, whatever the fuck it's called, PlayStation, they talk about the Ghostwire Tokyo. Okay, great. We talked about it. I didn't love it. Here's what I said. I'm still on the fence with this old game. Looks better, both super cool, but also super repetitive and basic. I wish I knew the price, the pre-order extended price edition, and if it will be on Gamepass Ultimate for PC. Not Xbox, but PC Xbox or Game Pass PC day one, though. Okay. And this son of a bitch who follows me for some reason, writes me back. He calls himself PlayStation Slave of Nora 1.1. Clearly somebody put a lot of thought into that. Seriously, I'm not even joking. He says, no, it won't be on Game Pass, LOL. Instead of spending all your money on pot, maybe buy a game OT2. I think he means or two. Hashtag just a thought. So I respond to this joker because I'm just kind of like, you know what, fucker? I have absolutely found a great surprise in the number of people that hit me up on the social medias and literally judge me for being a pot smoker. Now, I'm certainly not a pot head. I enjoy it a great deal. It's a great deal of fun under the right circumstances. It's legal where I live. And I probably smoke pot on average 5 times a month. Maybe. Usually it's probably more like 3. So 4 times a month, right? But I'm stunned by how many people hit me up and talk about, oh, you do pot, you're buying pot, oh, and I'm just like, dude, what are you, living in the 80s, right? But I respond to this twat, and this is what I say to him. This is what I say to this fella. Where'd it go? He says, tell your mom to stop charging so much money, and maybe I'll have some leftover cash to buy games. It's my fault, though. I'm the one with the fetish for old ladies and who have no teeth and smell like Windex and cheese. That's what I said to him, right? And so he responds back. He says, and he's probably watching right now, I don't know why this guy follows me. He clearly doesn't like me. So the first thing he says to me is, I got to find it. The way all this stuff is threaded is obnoxious as fuck. Where'd it go? Come on now. I want to find it. Hang on. He says to me, he tells me how classy I am. Where is the response to this? Oh, no, I tweeted it out. Sorry. Okay. I sent it to him, but I also, of course, did a public tweet because those are more fun. So I tweeted that out, and here's what he says to me. He says, I said, tell your mom, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's what he says to me. He says, come on, where is the response to this fucking thing? I'm so mad. I hate how Twitter does this. It's like, please, man, show me the response from this cocksucker. He says that I am not, he's like, he says, I'm not the pot smoking washed up has-been here. You'd think that would be threaded right underneath because I was responding to him. So he says, I'm not the pot smoking washed up has-been. I said, wow, you really don't like pot, huh? Also, if I die in 50 years and never make another thing, people will know I died because of my contributions. You, though, dude, people will forget about you the second they stop reading this thread. You should try harder. That's what I wrote to him. And he says, why should I care about that? LOL. I'm not the one on YouTube smoking pot with all his little followers. That would be you guys trying to play Bloodborne, which, by the way, you suck donkey balls at. So I say, because you are wasting your life, stop using social media to rave about creations other people bring into the world. It's great to be a fan, but when it's your identity, that's not how it's supposed to be. Put energy into creating something. And then he says, okay, doctor, right? Now, I intentionally flipped the script here because at first we were just taking the piss. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be honest with the guy because I went to his thread. I went to his YouTube page. Let me show you. This guy has 290 followers, and all he does is post about PlayStation and anti-Xbox. Like, there's not like, oh, it's my birthday, or oh, I went out and saw the concert, or my first concert since COVID, or oh my God, you won't believe this politician I like says you should go to their website. Every single goddamned post is about, isn't PlayStation great? And if you don't have PlayStation, you can go fuck yourself, right? So, it's staggering to me. Okay? But then he says, definition of a classless bum, okay? And then some other guy said, how classy. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Oh, well, he said definition of a classless bum. I said, come on, your mom's not that bad. Hell, sometimes she tosses in a free hand job if I rub her feet. So, and then this other guy says classy. The point is, the idea of class, of being classy, it's like, motherfucker, you have a website or a Twitter feed and all you talk about is the goddamned PlayStation. That's your identity. You're a broken human. That's number one. I feel for you. I really do. Get some therapy, okay? But number two is Frank Blasey just dropped super chat. He says, PlayStation great, Saturn sucks, TM forever. So you're probably this guy. You have two accounts. You have the Frank account, and then you have the PlayStation Slave of Nora. Yeah, SM says it's mental illness. Brian E says, safe bet is it's salty. This guy likes Gamepass. The point is, this concept of being classy or not classy is just like, it's so societally driven. It's like, motherfucker, I am classy. The way I treat people, the way I donate to charity, the way I take care of my children, the way I do this and that and the other. I'm a classy motherfucker, most of y'all know. I don't care about society's definition about being classy, and nor should you. This message has been brought to you by the number 6 and the letter M. Let's bring in Loosey Goosey and see what he has to add to the conversation. I swear we're going to get to video games today. Loosey Goosey, how you doing, pal?
Hey, how's it going, Jeffy?
It's going well. I'm smoking a brand new pipe, sir.
Yeah, I saw it. It looks great.
It does look great.
Hey, man, you should stop wasting your time on these idiots online, like the social media attention horse.
But it's entertaining for me. I have fun with it.
Yeah, but you're just rewarding them. You know, if they want attention, they're gonna say some dumb stuff, and then you're gonna talk to them.
Yeah, but
it's not gonna stop.
But why do I'm very selfish, you see. All I care about is, am I being rewarded? Am I being entertained?
Yeah.
Yes. Do I have things to talk about now for my show? Yes. I don't give a fuck what this nobody 290 follower motherfucker feels. Great. Maybe he got rewarded. I don't give a fuck. I got rewarded.
Sure,
That's all that fucking matters. Do you understand, Loosey Goosey? Come on now.
Don't roll you up, you know.
Yeah.
If you're having fun, then it's okay.
Oh yeah, it's not like it actually bothers me. I've said this before. The only time, and I turned the guy down. Let me know if his volume is better. The only time any of this stuff actually bothers me is it's a gift. Because when something bothers you, when someone takes the piss out of you and it actually bothers you, it's a psychological road sign for you that it's like, hey, fuck that guy, he's an asshole, but there's something about what he said that got under my skin, and that's valuable. That's helpful, because you know,
back to people, it's in your hands, so you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Loosey Goosey, and thank you for watching, buddy. Thanks for calling. All right, man. Was that volume better? Oh, is that classism that I'm checking my number of followers? Fuck you, motherfucker. Okay, here we go. Let's move on. We're actually going to get to game news. There's some cool stuff happening in the world that we love. Let's get rolling. Oh, I want to let you know. Sorry, I know it's Friday. I'm in relaxed mode. I know this is a game show, but your views on life are more interesting to me, Jaffe. I don't know why. Says Detect 2. Oh, you goddamn right they are. I used to have a whole show called the Jaffe Stream. Nobody watched it for the most part, but it was just that. But I appreciate you being here, and I'll share them whenever you need them. Listen, I just want to give you a heads up. Pot and Popcorn tomorrow night, members only. Any tier, as well as any mod for the show, is welcome to come in. We're starting at 4 o'clock California time. The Cult of Calypso members and the God of War members have voted. They have made their voice heard. And we will be watching first the motion picture show called The Raid Redemption, which I know a lot of you know, but I have never seen it. And then we will be watching what I hear is a batshit crazy motion picture called Tokyo Gore Police. That is going to be tomorrow starting at 4 o'clock California time. Don't forget, if you want to become a member or consider being a member, all you have to do is click on the link tree down below this video, and it'll give you all the details, what you get, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something. Brian E. says this, Jaffe, I'm not sure who I heard it from, but I heard someone a while back say, you being angry about something someone says more about you. Understand why you're upset and you learn. Absolutely. 1,000 gajillion, 100%. If somebody says something that hurts me, you really should look at them and say, oh, thank you for that. Because if it didn't hurt me, it wouldn't be true. But there's some truth in that. Absolutely. Yeah, this is, I think, The Raid Redemption, is that the sequel or the first one? I don't know. Everybody told me they picked this one. I've never seen any of the Raid motion picture shows. I've been binging your videos, Jaffe. I wish I could donate, but I live in a third world country and broke as fuck. This is from Artorias Abyss Walker. Buddy, don't even worry about it, man. When and if you ever choose and are able to donate and it doesn't hurt you for doing so, would love it. Appreciate it. But the fact you're here, you're part of our community, baby. Come on now. Come on now. Well, I appreciate that, buddy. Welcome. Redemption's the sequel. Well, I'll ask the members tomorrow if we should watch the first one or the sequel. Which one's better? Don't tell me now because I'm not going to look at the chat. We're going to move on. Okay. Also, I got this as a heads up yesterday. The last thing, then we're going to be talking games. I promise. We're going to get into video games. YouTube Gaming officially rolling out gifted subs like Twitch, because for a while I've been saying, people have been asking me, and it's insane. Certain mods don't have memberships, and I'm like, you don't need to pay for a membership. So hopefully we can make this work now. It hasn't started yet. It's slowly happening. I think they're doing it in Japan first, but just so you know, this is coming, and it will be something we have on this show. My current job prohibits me from partaking in cannabis delight, says Jerry. Well, you don't have to smoke the pot. You can eat the popcorn. You don't have to do either one. You don't have to do either one. You can just come and watch the motion picture show. Okay, the Raid Redemption is the first. I lied. I was going to look at it. Okay, let's get to the news. Yesterday we talked about good sir Timmy Schafer. Someone, and I forget who it was. It's, I apologize about that. It was a comment on yesterday's show from a member who said, hey, Jaffe, I know you were taking your news about the interview that Tim Schafer did about Double Fine and Double Fine's lack of interest in making movies from the article, but you should really watch the interview that the article was based on. And in that, you'll see that your take, which was the article's take, isn't really accurate, right? And so I just want to play you a very small snippet where Ryan McCaffrey from IGN is asking Schafer about taking the Double Fine properties and turning them into movies. What I talked about yesterday was incorrect in the sense that he's not saying he doesn't want to do it. Here's what he said. I just want to make sure I'm always clear, regardless of what we're talking about, but certainly with someone who's a salt of the earth and just a good human as Tim Schafer. I would hate to misrepresent what he's saying. Here you go.
You'd either like to see turned into live action shows or animated shows?
We often get approached by people saying, hey, can we turn this into a movie? But, it's usually just a distraction. Like, I think games are what I really care about and what I like to make and what I think are interesting, and it comes up every once in a while, but it has never turned into anything. There's just we've had a lot of lunches. I've got a lot of free lunches out of Hollywood. But,
Psychonauts seems like it'd be a brilliant cartoon in the right hands.
You can do tons of stuff with Psychonauts, but games are cooler than movies and TV.
That's true.
So it's already peaked. Why?
I did hear that Duncan Jones, the speaking of Warcraft, the director of Warcraft, wants to do a full throttle movie and even wrote a script.
He wrote a script. It's good too. I read the whole thing.
He posted it on Twitter.
You can tell he really played the game and knows what it's all about. So yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it'd be fun to work with Duncan, but LA and Hollywood, they're just like a big whirlpool of lunches.
In the spirit of reflecting back,
now that I turned it up. So basically what he was saying is he's been to a bunch of meetings, he's been to a bunch of lunches about his stuff, but it never goes anywhere and it just takes up time. So he was not saying if the right opportunity, in fact, they were talking about the Psychonauts, the Full Throttle script written by Duncan Jones, the director of the World of Warcraft movie, and Moon has actually written the Full Throttle script. Tim Schafer has read it. He really liked it. He's not opposed to it. He's just saying, hey man, it's how many more meetings do I have to take that go nowhere? And now that is a great point, because one of the reasons, I don't know if my Hollywood career would have ever taken off. I was never a very good director or writer, to be honest with you, but I had sold some stuff, I was moving in that direction, and I got the job at Sony, right? Well, one of the reasons I stopped even pursuing that was because here I was 22 years old, and all of my friends who went to film school were like struggling just to get internships at movie studios after they graduated. And here I was at a company that was saying, what do you want to make? You pretty much have creative control as long as you can sell the Utah guys on it and they like it too and they can contribute to it. And I was like, shit. So I get what Tim's saying. Tim's wickedly, blisteringly creative, and if he had to wait for Hollywood to toss him a green light, I think it would drive him batty. So I absolutely get that. I absolutely understand that. So I just wanted to clear it up because I would hate to misrepresent anybody, certainly someone the likes of good sir Timmy Schafer. Speaking of Tim Schafer, this has nothing to do with Tim Schafer, but Hideo Kojima announced today that he is doing his own podcast. It's called Radioverse. He's going to talk to people in games and movies and TVs. He will talk about his games, Metal Gear, Death Stranding, things like that. It is only in Japanese, so unless you speak Japanese or unless there is a hardcore fan out there that is willing to either transcript, translate it, or do a literal dub of his podcast, most of us will never know what it says. We'll only hear the choice bits when it comes out in the news. But if you're curious, it is called Radioverse. It is, the first episode is up. He is interviewing a channel called 2Bro. They have a 3 million audience, but I don't know what they do. It's assumed that Hideo Kojima's Radioverse, this is the article in Destructoid, is one of the experimental new projects teased by Kojima back in January. It is unknown and highly unlikely that the podcast will be translated into English. Mr. Edge says, is English really that hard to learn? No, it's not that hard to learn, but, I mean, compared to Chinese and Japanese, it's really fucking hard. But to listen to probably what amounts to a 2-hour podcast and consistently translate it every night, I can barely put timestamps on this fucking thing every night. So I don't fucking know. Anyway, there's news. If you can speak Japanese, yeah, Jarvie says, I would love to learn Japanese just to listen to the podcast. I'm sure if it really is a good one and he's able to consistently put it out, it wouldn't surprise me if we get someone over here who's like, fuck it, I'll translate it. I could totally see that. Dougie Fresh says, hey, I just got here. Nice to hear you quote 1,000 True Fans 25 minutes ago. Great article. You don't need 1 million subs just to provide high value to a select niche. You goddamn right. I know a woman. I don't know her, but I know of a woman. My ex is a Patreon, and she's a big fan of hers. She has, like, less followers than we do. And she's making, like, you know, she totally makes a fucking crazy good living just off her YouTube shit. So there you go. Oh, there you go. Jerry A says, my sister speaks fluent Japanese. I'll wait for her translation. Cool. I can understand Japanese fine, says Zandatsu, but don't have a Japanese payment method to access this. Oh, because you have to be a member of Japanese Amazon? I see. Yeah, Andrew House knows Japanese. He should translate it, says John Goetz. Well, or Goetz. I'm going to call you Goetz. I know that's not the way you say it. But I don't know what is Andy House doing now? Andy was such a, you know, I always tell the story because it makes me so happy, because it's probably the working with the rock stars equivalent that someone like me gets, that you guys get, when it sounds like the people you like in the industry are really nice people, right? Which is like, oh, you know, Phil Spencer congratulated, you know, Naughty Dog for shipping this game. That, you know, and it's like, in the back of my head, I'm like, maybe Phil's a fan, maybe he's not, maybe he genuinely means congratulations, maybe he doesn't. But I know he means, hey, guys, I want you to remember me as a good guy in case I ever try to poach you, and or it's good PR. That's not necessarily why he does it. But I have enough experience, you know, as many of you do in business, to know that it's kind of like, you don't send people Christmas gifts that you work with. I don't mean at the office. I mean other companies, unless you're trying to get some business. There's always an ulterior motive, right? Well, anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Come on now. I can't do it. Andy House. So I'm sitting at PSX, the very first PSX. And I'm sitting there with a bunch of the Sony Santa Monica people. So I had left Sony. Shannon, I think, was still there. It was Corey, Shannon, Alan Becker, me, Chuck Dowd, who was a huge influence on the sound and music, along with Buzz Burrows for over a decade, for Sony Sound, and a couple other people. And here comes Andy House and Shawn Layden walking into the W Hotel. And this is the day before PSX, which was the big thing. Was it in Vegas or San Francisco? I forget where it was, but it was in one of those places, the first one. I think it was in Vegas. And they come walking in, and maybe it was the second one. Doesn't matter. They come walking in, and there's no seats. I'm sitting in a seat. Becker's in a seat. You know, there's these big comfy seats out in the lobby of the W, all fancy schmancy and shit. And they come right up and they start talking to me at first, because they're like, oh, we saw the trailer of Drawn to Death. Believe it or not, that trailer that we showed at Drawn to Death had a lot of people excited for the game. And as they start talking to me, they start to sit. And in my mind, I'm like, well, this is like, at the time, Andy and Shawn are the heads of this fucking company. I should probably get up and offer them my seat. And before that can even happen, both guys just pop a fucking squat on the floor, the dirty, nasty fucking carpet of the W, or the W Hotel, and you've got the heads of PlayStation literally sitting on the goddamn floor, talking to people who work for them at very, very lower levels. And I just thought that was a really kind of classy, cool thing to see. And again, how much of it was calculated, How much of it was Machiavellian? How much of it was Andy House just likes to sit on the fucking floor and it never crossed his mind? I don't know. VV says, did they poop on the floor? Well, Shawn Layden did, but that's a British thing. That's a classy thing they do in Britain. If you were educated like Shawn Layden was, of the finest schools in Europe and then Japan, you shitting on the floor is a sign of opulence and a sign of a great, well-bred family and education. So there you go. They should ask the hotel staff for a chair. Well, I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's move on. Grand Theft Auto, everybody knows this was the news that dropped today. I'll tell you the news I'm more excited about, only because we haven't seen, hair or hide of 6. But they did announce 6. Let's go to that first. They said, you guys have to have seen this. This was all the big news today. All the rage amongst the kids and their newfangled street racing and swing dancing. What's next? This is directly from the horse's mouth at Rockstar. With the unprecedented longevity of GTA 5, we know, many of you have been asking us about a new entry in Grand Theft Auto series. We know we're not Maroons, but with every new project we embark on, our goal is to always significantly move beyond what we have previously delivered. This is still them speaking. I'll let you know when I change my accent. And we are pleased to confirm that active development for the next entry in Grand Theft Auto series is well underway. We look forward to sharing more news as soon as we are ready. So fuck off. So please stay tuned to Rockstar Newswire for official details. So yes, Grand Theft Auto is in development. It's been in development for a while. They say that clearly they're going to significantly move beyond Grand Theft Auto 5 is what they say right there. You don't have the Hauser brothers for the very first time in the history of, well, since it went 3D. I don't think the Hauser brothers had anything to do with 1 or 2. But certainly 3 and then and on through the series. And so I'm very curious who is taking the creative reins. I'm very curious if you're going to notice a shift, or if it's going to feel like when Tim Cook took over Apple, and it's like, you can't really replace Jobs. The best thing you can do is find someone else with their own vision. Tim Cook barely has a vision. His vision is let's make money. So the thing you hope is that they don't go, here are the 20 things that we can chart that make Grand Theft Auto Grand Theft Auto. Let's make that. You don't want a creative lead in charge of it doing that. You'll probably be okay for a couple of iterations, and then people will start to move on. Kind of like what's happening with Call of Duty, really what we talked about yesterday. But regardless, though, I'm excited Grand Theft Auto 6. But here's the thing that even got me more interested, because I barely touched Grand Theft Auto 5. I played it for about 2 days when it came out, the single player. I don't think I've ever been online with that fucking game. And the version for PS5 and Xbox, I'm sure I'll get the 5 version because the DualSense, unless it's on Gamepass, which it's not. Grand Theft Auto 5 will be coming with 4K res, 60 frames per second, texture draw distance upgrade, HDR ray tracing, as well as offering the tech advancements of the latest console generation with faster loading, which is crucial for that game, immersive 3D audio, platform-specific features, haptic feedback, blah, blah, blah. This is coming in less than a month. We thought February was packed with good games, and it is. There's no doubt. We had Dying Light yesterday. We've got Horizon. What is it, next week or the next week? The week after that, we got Elden Ring. March is kind of shaping up, too. You got this coming out March 15th, March 25th. You have, I've lost my train of thought. What was the game on March 25th? We talked about the Ghostwire Tokyo. If Ghostwire Tokyo is you watch that trailer from yesterday, it could be either or. If it's if it's great, we're going to be in for an expensive March as well. We'll talk about Cyberpunk in a minute, Mr. Edgelord. Yeah, Jerry A., you're absolutely right. Dying Light 2 also dropped. I'm not into that series. I'm going to wait for the Game of the Year edition. Hauser had that charming, clever satire, comedic dialogue, and made fun of people, says Waleed Mashal. He did. I mean, I don't know if it held up by the time they got to 5. That series slowly moved away from wanting to be Mad Magazine and Grand Theft Auto 3 and kind of ended up almost wanting to be Scorsese by the time they got to Grand Theft Auto 5. So I don't really know which thematic of Grand Theft Auto, I don't mean setting, but I mean like which tone of Grand Theft Auto they will be dipping into to make the new one, or if they'll be bringing a new sort of tonal vision to it. No clue. Mr. Edgelord says, when's God of War Ragnarok? They haven't announced it. I've always said it's either July or September. That's just a guess. I don't fucking know. I really don't know. I don't think there's a bad time to release that game. I think the best time to release that game is probably September, because you're going to get the holiday sales. You're still going to get you're going to get in front of the holiday sales. September, October was always the best time to release for Sony back in the day, because, you know, unless you've got one of the mega franchises, although now you could easily argue God of War is, but I would say it's going to be July or September. You definitely don't want to launch that in November, I don't think, because everyone's launching big in November, and why run the risk of not being the big kid on the block for at least a month or two? GTA can't exist today. It's built on the very bedrock of making fun of everyone and everything about American culture. No one has the balls to do it. I doubt that. I absolutely doubt that. I think those are clearly discussions that they have had about how far do we push it now that there's a different mentality sort of sweeping a number of countries in the world. But I don't think they're going to slay the golden goose. They know what side of the bread their butter is. Anyway, yeah, I think you'd be wrong. I think you would be wrong. All right, let us move forward. I thought this was very interesting, and if you're out there struggling, you got to be careful, because survivor bias, success bias is a real goddamn thing. But that said, though, I liked this story. I thought it was interesting. New report shows how hard Xbox boss Phil Spencer pushed for Gamepass. Apparently, there were people when he was trying to push this that said, at Xbox, this is a bad idea, Philip. And when they call him Philip, you know he's got to sit up and listen. He's like, damn, he called me Philip. This motherfucker's serious. This is a bad idea, Philip, because developers are not going to want to sign on. Publishers are not going to want to give their fucking games away. In a lot of ways, a lot of these people were talking like a lot of the fans online today that say, Game Pass will never work. It's not sustainable, blah, 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 blah. Well, Phil Spencer persevered, and now we have Game Pass, which is clearly, Spartacus is going to be a response to that, although I don't think it's going to be a direct response. And I think it has absolutely changed the industry. I just don't think you're going to be able to have, if, let's just say things stay somewhat normal and they make another Xbox. They make an Xbox Series X2 or 2X or whatever. And they you know, and they probably will. We're not going to be streaming yet, but let's say they do. Game Pass will continue. It's hard to imagine them pulling the plug on that ever. I think it is now the way a lot of people want to get their games and get their games. In fact, somebody earlier talking to me about the game I will probably buy Grand Theft Auto 5 Remaster on PlayStation, but if it was on Xbox, you goddamn right I'd get it day one. Okay, but anyway, I thought that was interesting. Just a hint, if you're out there struggling, trying to make your voice heard, no one likes your shit, no one likes your stuff, don't worry about it, pal. Hang in there long enough, as Phil Collins said on the album, but seriously, one of the best-selling albums in the UK. The number one best-selling in the UK, best-selling album in the UK in 1990. Didn't do as well over here, like number 4. Great fucking album. Then he kind of just shat the bed as a commercial artist. But hang in long enough. And persevere. Tenacity is the strongest force in the goddamn universe. That's the truth. That is the truth. All right, and now little Phil Spencer's going on stage in a couple of weeks, and they're going to go, the Lifetime Achievement Award for blah, blah, blah. He's getting one from DICE. Look at that nonsense. Game Awards, speaking of, Game of the Year winner. It Takes Two has sold 5 million copies. Congratulations to that game. It's a wonderful game. No, I haven't finished it, but it's creative in its design. It's creative in its storytelling, in its art style. It's a very good game. It is a great joy to play. I highly recommend it. I bring this up, because great, 5 million. That's a hell of a thing for an IP that's so unique and strange and weird and brand new. Beyond that, though, I bring it up because, it's unlike the Oscars, and I think this is fading a little bit or a lot of it, awards, the reason you saw movie studios spending so much money in the Oscars prime was because it was really marketing. If your movie was nominated, you got a bump at the box office. If your movie won, your bump could be well over $100 million in domestic box office, right? I haven't seen that with games. I don't know if it's probably because games are so expensive and movie tickets comparatively are not. Like if somebody were to say the game of the year is Return of the Obra Dinn, which I thought was game of the year that year, a couple years back, brilliant game. And you can either buy it for $25 or it's on Game Pass, or you can buy it for $10. I think then that little thing might be enough to get you over the hump if it has a sticker that says this was the game of the year. But I think when you're talking $60, it probably doesn't really matter. Jacob Martin says, I played It Takes Two with this Bumble girl on Thursday. She hates video games, but honestly enjoyed this. Where you met her on Bumble, which if you don't know is kind of like a dating / friend meeting site. did you play online, or was it a let's meet up in person and then we'll play this game? Or was it like an online get together? I'm just curious how that works, given that the game can be played online and you met this individual online. Brett Williams says, I think it's because games are more personal. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think there are a lot of movies and music and books that when they get their hooks in you, they feel just as personal as any other medium. I think so. Yeah, you can absolutely play It Takes Two online. Rob and I did. I met Rob on Bumble, and I fucked the shit out of him afterwards in real life and online. But that said, though, we first met and the chemistry and the rockets fired and all that stuff when I played It Takes Two with Rob the Mod, who there he is right now. I see him in the chat. I played some of it, says Uncle Filthy, with the wife, and she loved it too. Even though she was terrible at it, she enjoyed it. Yeah, it's hard not to love it. It's a hard game to dislike. It's good people. I enjoy it. It's not a secret anymore, Rob. Rob says that's a secret. Fuck you, Rob. I do what I want to do. Do what the fuck I want to do. My man has 2 jobs. I don't know if you know what that quote's from. Let's move on. Hey, there was a report. This is what Bacon Magma was talking about at the beginning. I think Jaffe's bisexual, says VV. The only way I could ever be bisexual is if I accidentally fell down and somehow got physical by the accident with another male. And I was like, oh my God, all these years I didn't know. I enjoy this too. But no. Oh my God, Bacon Magma. It's from Everybody Hates Chris. Look at that. Look at that. How did you know? That's hell. Damn, that's a deep cut. Mr. Brownie knows it too. Shit. I didn't know that series. Anybody watch that fucking series? Realism says it could happen. It could happen. Okay. Google, but this is what Bacon was talking about. Google deprioritizes Stadia as it shifts to securing a streaming deal. So I guess what's happening is we know they shut their development down over a year ago. Shannon was running that. Jade Raymond was running that. That's dead. They've now been going out pitching what they're calling Google streaming to various companies to buy or license their technology. They've talked to Bungie. They talked to Capcom. I think they've even talked to somebody said they were talking to Peloton, which I don't necessarily understand, although they do streaming. Phil Harrison, who we all know and love, the head of Stadia operations, now reports to Google's head of subscriptions. If I'm Phil Harrison, I'm not long for Google, unless he's just like, fuck it. I've done the time and the mines. I make a shit ton of money. I make a great fucking bonus. Fuck you. I'm just staying here until they fire me, and they probably won't, because I'm fucking smart and I'm political, and I'm just going to ride this out until I retire. Or they're going to get rid of him, or he's going to leave, because the man literally picked up his family and moved across the goddamn ocean to make Google Stadia happen. The one thing that is a little bit weird, not weird, but disappointing, is you see a lot of people online today going, ha ha, I told you. Not to me, although I'm sure somebody would say that to me, but haha, I told you Stadia was shit. It's going to be crap. Haha, it's dead. Fuck you, right? Well, the sad part about that is the vast majority of those people saying that have either never tried Google Stadia at all, or they've tried it, but they just don't have a good enough setup. Because right after I saw this, I was like, I haven't gone to Stadia in ages, but, you know, I'm kind of excited. Somebody mentioned CD Project Red Cyberpunk 2077 coming out in March for new systems. I don't know if that date has been confirmed, but I was like, I'm excited for that because I held off playing it, but I did buy it day one on the most stable platform, which was Stadia. Grape King says Stadia is a dog. Based on what? Have you played it? I mean, I could bring it up right now. I literally went today to Stadia and I played about 15 minutes of Cyberpunk. Ran great. I wouldn't have known I was streaming if I didn't know I was streaming. Like, it didn't lag or anything. And I was like, this is, you know, their business model fucking killed them. And Google's lack of willingness to really dive in deep killed them in terms of first party. And ultimately, this is going to be Xbox's game to win. Maybe Sony's if they pull their head out of the ass and start doing some exclusive day one drops and things for Spartacus. But they could have gotten a foothold in this, and they shat the bed. But Stadia was and remains a really good experience. a really fucking good experience. If you, and again, I don't have blazing internet, but it's good enough, and it's absolutely excellent. John says, a lot of these subservices seem enticing until I look and realize I've played most of the stuff. Well, yeah, that's why if you game with xCloud, like if you're somebody, I mean, this is what I said last December when CD Projekt Red put out Cyberpunk. I don't know why I keep saying CD Projekt Red. I said, there's a lot of people who can't get Xboxes. There's a lot of people who can't get PS5s. And they want to play this game. Well, go download. I don't think it was available yet. xCloud may still be in beta. I don't know. But it's like, go download Stadia on your fucking phone or your tablet and play it. You didn't need a console. You didn't need anything other than what you already had to play at the time, what was being lauded as the greatest next-gen game available. That's powerful. And when they get their shit together, what is up, Calvan? When they get their shit together, Xbox is going to be the one that wins it. But it's a strong experience when you have a good experience streaming.
Do you know if we're doing anything with Mom tonight?
She's coming over tomorrow night.
Okay, that's okay.
Why?
Because I wouldn't play World of Warcraft.
Okay, all right. Yes, please. John Goats, thank you, buddy. He drops super chat. He says, this It Takes Two talk reminds me of another charming game from around the console launches. Did you ever play Sackboy: A Big Adventure? One of my favorite 3D platformers, and it has 4-player co-op. I have never played it online once they launched the online, but I should, because I very much loved the single-player version. I never finished it because I kind of get into a thing, like some of you know, where I'm just kind of like, I have to 100% every level before I move on. Like I started playing, what did I start playing recently? Oh, I got back into Mario Kart because we played it on game night the other night, and I was playing some of the cups today, and I won't go to the next cup until I get 3 stars in every single thing, right? So Sackboy I loved, but I burnt out because I couldn't master at 100% like after about 20 levels, but I thought it was great. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, absolutely. And maybe that is something I should play online with the stream. Streaming is just as good as native, says Mass Produce. I mean, it depends, right? It is online. So from time to time, you're going to get some pixelization that goes away. From time to time, you might get a stutter or whatever. But I'm not competing in MLG, right? It doesn't matter if I get a little bit of a stutter 2% of the time. And most times, I don't even get that. So yeah, I think it's just absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. Adam Blue says, I'm surprised xCloud doesn't run as good as Stadia. I have found it does for me now when I play it through my Xbox and computer, but it does not run for me as well when I'm on a phone. Okay. You're not, okay. Just real quick heads up. I just want to let you know, this is not like breaking news. Probably 99.9% of you won't give a fuck, but I saw this. I wanted to share it because I've had my eye on this game. It looks incredibly stupid, incredibly arcadey, but a lot of fun. Crus'n Blast, which is the latest drop from Eugene Jarvis and crew over it. I think they're called Play Mechanics now. From the Crus'n USA series, up and up and up and up. There was an arcade game called Crus'n Blast, which you probably played if you went into the Dave and the Buster's. It's been on Switch for a while, but it was like $50 or $45 or something. I'm like, I'm not paying that for something I'm probably burnt out on in 2 days. Dropped it permanently to $20. So if you're interested like I am, I'll probably be picking it up this weekend. Crus'n Blast is now at a very easy to get price of $20. Go get it if you've had an eye on it. Okay. Let me take a sip of the bubbly and let us move on to the first big story or discussion point of the day. Before I get to that, Eddie Torres, who's a longtime member of our community, he says, and he's also, I think he's God of War member too. I think you are. Thank you, Eddie. He says, he put this on the Twitter, and I thought it was worth sharing. I thought it was something interesting to think about. He says, I wonder if people behind the scenes are close to pulling the plug on G4. This wasn't a week ago. This is today. He said this. It's not culturally relevant, and the only time it's being discussed is when a host is going on an insane tangent. Seems like they are doubling down on that behavior. Now, I know yesterday Bacon Magma told me on this very stream that, hey, the guy that was sitting next to Frosk, who was the woman who, talked about all the sexism from the audience that she doesn't like, he was like whooping and hollering and saying, yeah, you're right. We love what you're saying, blah, blah, blah. But Bacon was saying recently he's made sexist comments and homophobic comments. And I looked for him because I was like, well, let me see what the fuck Bacon's talking about. I couldn't fucking find him. But that said, though, so I don't know what Eddie's talking about when he says they're doubling down. It sounds like maybe did another dude go or another host go off. I don't know. But regardless, his point is good, which is I would love to know what is happening at G4. I would love to know, are they looking at their numbers and going, hey man, this is fucking great. We're actually doing it. We're making ducats, you know? Or are they going, we're not even close to getting off the runway? Yeah, put the link in the Discord, Bacon. I'll put it on the show. Rob says, I was a big fan of the new G4, but things don't look so good right now. I wonder, though, how much of that is... I know you were a fan. Was it that they burned through the nostalgia and now you're just left with what it is, Rob? Or was it that they literally have changed since it started and that's why you've kind of gotten less into it? The Black Hokage, that was his name, Lord Garth, right? Yes. He was caught with proof doing the same shit. Check Review Tech USA for the story. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I Googled it. I tweeted it. I could not find anything. But okay, yeah, then that's, come on. It's ironic, says Sector, because their montage when they launched had Kevin Pierre saying watch was fail a second time. I don't know if I understand your sentence. Kevin Pierre, who I like, who I want to have on the show, he said he'll come on, saying watch was fail a second time. Don't know what that means. He is a hypocrite, Brian says, I can confirm. The new G4 says Snake isn't fun. I'm there to have fun with our love of games, not a lecture. G4 is too woke and not fun like itself. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really watch it. Watch us fail for a second time is what Kevin said. Well, there you go. But I'm curious, though. I'm absolutely curious. I know they have Twitch. I know they have YouTube. I know they have the actual show. If you look at their numbers on YouTube, they're not, you don't look at them and go, holy shit. They're not giving, somebody mentioned review tech. They're not giving Review Tech a run for his money. And they got like 40 people they have to feed. So maybe they're doing great on Twitch or TV. Different Era says, Jaffe, one time I noticed you wearing a pure black hat with a blue waffle logo. I love this hat and want a matching shirt. What do I need to do? Did you buy the hat? Rob the Mon is the only one who bought the hat. It was available for a very limited time. But if people want a Blue Waffle Cafe t-shirt, I am more than happy to put that up on the store over the weekend. You can also get this hat at the store as well. It's not at all like the G4 I like, says Rob. He grew up on it. No sketches or voiceovers or fun games, just people talking on stream and stressing me out. There you go. Even if you agree with what they're saying, says John, and certainly with what Frost said, I agreed with most of it except the out-and-out incorrect statement about Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb and why they were hired, saying obvious platitudes is boring to watch and not as bold. No, because if you agree with them, you agree with them, and if you don't, you don't. It's like, I don't need Frost to tell me that people on the internet are a bunch of fucking creeps. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So I'll tell you about Adam Sessler. I like Adam Sessler. Adam Blue says they do sketches. I like Adam Sessler. I always have. Sessler hates his fans to forget where I seen it. I think Sessler, kind of like me, to some extent, doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna speak his truth. And if you like it, great. If you like someone who speaks their truth, even if you don't agree with it, great. But if you disagree with him, he'll scrap with you, as the kids used to say, and now they don't say it. So the kids don't say it anymore. Old people like me say it. He'll scrap with you, and I respect that. I like to do that too. I don't like somebody who comes on the show and is just like, I'll tell you what you want to hear, and I'll walk the middle path so I can make the most ducats. Who needs that? You have that everywhere in your goddamn life. But I'll tell you what was fascinating to me. Hello, Rocket. Here's what was fascinating to me. Yeah, and I don't agree with everything that Sessler says, but so what? A lot of people don't agree with everything I say. Where was that written that we have to do that to like each other? But last night, I don't know if you guys saw this, Sessler's wife got on his Twitter account, and I don't really I follow him, but I don't read it enough to know. Apparently, maybe that's something she does at E3. But she got on the Twitter account last night, and and says, as some of you guys know, and my thoughts certainly go out to this lady. I'm going in for, she has a tumor in her brain. And I don't know if it's cancerous tumor. I hope to God it's not. I've actually known 3 people now who have had brain tumors. They weren't cancerous, but they had to have brain surgery to have their heads opened up and it removed. And within, months, they're back to normal. But before they got the operation, ringing in the ears, vertigo, dizziness, all this stuff, right? So I hope to God she's okay. I think the operation went down today. Given it's brain surgery, it could still be going on. And she went on last night and she, I don't know what she was referring to, but it was clear that Sessler had been taking a lot of guff from a lot of people who don't like him on Twitter. And she jumped on and was just like, hey, I just want to let you know, if you're like, where'd Adam go? It's like, he's a great fucking husband. He's taking care of me right now. And, I can't ask for more than that. So forgive him for not jumping on the fucking Twitter and arguing with you about, Frosk and Grand Theft Auto. And I thought that was a classy move for his wife. But I hope she's well. My thoughts go out. Mrs. Sessler, here's a smoke of the pipe. I know it's cancer, maybe. If it's cancer, you don't need this. You don't need it anyway. But here's this. I'm going to put good vibes and well wishes and big hugs and get well and get the fuck out of the hospital and go live a great adventurous life for you and your hubby, Adam. There you go. Smoke that, baby. Smoke it down. And don't tell Adam about that time at E3 when we found ourselves in the barn and locked the door. And, well, you know what happened. Jaffe, I posted the link. Okay, let's take a look at this real quick. This is Bacon Magma put this link. This is the Black Hokage is his name. This is what he's been saying on, I guess apparently he said some stuff that suggests he is maybe he's a hypocrite. It starts about the 2-minute mark. It's Geeks and Gamers, which I don't ever watch, but I hear I wouldn't like them if I did watch them. So I'm not like, why are you platforming anybody? They're a much bigger channel than I am. But that said, though, I probably wouldn't like them if I talked to them. But that said, though, I do want to see what they're talking about. So here we go. Starts about 2 minutes. We'll watch a couple seconds of this, and then we'll move on. Oh, it's Hokage's Hokage? Hokage? Why would it be Hokage? Well, why don't you spell it like that? Hokage is what it sounds like. Oh, it's Naruto? Oh, God. Fuck Naruto. Here we go. Took me a year to figure out somebody who used to be on our stream called himself Vegeta Plays. I was like, vegetable? What the fuck are you? Here we go.
On the eyes for you. Morgan Webb, Olivia Munn did not exist to be nice on the eyes for you.
Yes, they did. They did. That is a big part of why they were hired. Okay? You're just dumb if you don't know that. You know that's true. Is that the only reason they were hired? Of course not. Olivia Munn is smart as a whip. Morgan Webb is smart as a whip. We all know she started on Tech TV, but don't act like she wasn't in part given her job because she's a good-looking woman. Olivia Munn, good look. Don't be a fucking moron. Let's keep going.
Twitch added a hot tub streamer category.
Uh-huh.
How'd you think about that?
I mean, cool. It's separated by category right now, so it's easier to find.
Are you watching that shit?
No, I don't watch it.
I be watching naked.
Are we on the same website?
Yeah, no. Well, what does the website have to do with me watching naked?
Oh, you were watching naked.
Yeah, I be watching naked with nothing but my Tim's on.
So, let's keep going. I don't understand how is he a hypocrite? You can stand up for women's rights and still enjoy being sexual with women. Is he tweeting to them? Is he texting to them? Is he chatting with them? And saying creepy shit? Or is he self-pleasuring himself watching somebody on the internet? Well, look, trust me, I'm no Olivia Munn or Morgan Webb, and I'm not even Frosk. But it hasn't escaped my brain that there's a very good chance that at some point in the last couple of years, there have been people who have, jerked off while watching this fucking stream. I mean, put yourself on a TV screen. What are you going to do? But that clip doesn't bother me so much. Let's keep going.
Hey, she cooking, y'all.
And that's just obvious sexism.
If you're a child, put your hands over your ears. Ladies are probably not gonna like this. May God strike me down. Every woman that I've ever fucked told me they don't swallow. And every woman that sucked my dick swallowed. they be lying, bro. They be fucking lying. Because you know what? You tell them, be like, nah, I like my shit swallowed. And they do it. You'd be fucking surprised. He's not lying with some chicks be. And like, the thing is, I'm not calling those women liars. I think they didn't swallow the dudes that they was with before. But if you say it with like a very deep voice, nah, that's how I like it, she'll do it. You'd be fucking surprised. And then you know, true story, I swear to God, and I'm gonna end the story because we're getting TMI. But I swear to God, this is may God strike me down. After they do it, they always like, that wasn't that bad. Everyone says that shit. I thought it would be great. It wasn't that bad. I swear to God, you cannot make this shit up. These motherfuckers be lying, bro. They be lying. You said laugh my ass off facts. You just opened my eyes, and then you don't gotta ask no more. The key is stop asking and tell. Tell them. And they say that, you know, controlling and all this other shit, but it's literally in your biology to want to follow a man. The problem.
And they say that, you know, controlling and all this other shit, but it's literally in your biology to want to follow a man. The
problem is a lot of you men nowadays, because you're raised by single mothers, you don't know your dad or you don't have no mentors. A lot of you are not very aggressive by nature. You have feminine traits. But I'm telling you, if you tell her ass and I like it like this.
I agree, the dude. I don't see a problem with what he's saying.
You gotta say it a certain type of way with confidence and like authority. You'd be surprised. They fuck you different when they see that you're a leader. And that's what I was trying to say to him. I was like, at bare minimum, bro. I was like, I get it. You know, you comfortable, all this other shit. But I'm telling you, and I'm saying this to y'all too. Men, the first thing you want to do is you want to get your own place. Like, even if you don't got your
How long does
car,
this go?
Come on. Get away with that because there's Uber. But as a man, you should always have your own place. And the reason being is they fuck you different when you got your own place. And that's what I was telling
you.
I'm like, yo, these chicks fuck you different when you got she walking, this is nice. Because the thing is, you can't be a king without a kingdom.
Sexism in gaming.
And just like that, I have proven that I was right once again.
No. Okay, so there's nothing he said. Yeah, Pixelbit says, what's the issue? A man having man energy. Now, what I will say about this is that I think you have to be really careful if you want to, if you want to have the conversation he's having, you have to be, in my opinion, if you want to have the conversation and be honest about the conversation, because what he is saying, there is truth in. But you have to be careful because the way he's presenting it is like, here's the deal. This is not me, this is him. Here's the deal. You know and I know that a woman likes to be controlled. She likes to follow you. It's in her nature. In bed, she wants this. And there is a lot of evidence to back that up. And there is a lot of truth to that. Not for every woman at all, but there's a lot of truth to that. And there's nothing sexist about saying that. The problem is, for a lot of people, a lot of men, is when that masculine energy, and by the way, that masculine energy doesn't always have to be with the man. A woman can feel that way, but more often than not, it's the masculine energy with the man. More often than not, though, a lot of these men take that energy and think that needs to be expressed in the real world or out of the bedroom. And it absolutely is where they get into trouble, right? Because being with someone who's consensual, who wants to be intimate, you'll get to know where that knob you need to tune to say, this is what she likes and what I like, and are we simpatico? But that's different if he's going to work, or if he's going to a bar, or if he's going to a restaurant, and every woman he sees, he's, up there just sort of, fronting as if he's got this kind of, I'm the fucking man. It's like, dude, you're a fucking moron. That's very different. Or if you're manipulating women to have sex, that's not very good. But all he's talking about is a very traditional view, which is, I agree with him. It is scientifically, there is evidence in the animal kingdom, of course, that women will traditionally follow. I know the term alpha is, a lot of people don't like the term, and it's not accurate because the wolves, whatever, but they will follow the more dominant leader. And it's a biological thing. It's lizard brain shit, blah, 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 blah. So, But I agree. The dude says, what's he saying has to do with his private life. It didn't seem like he was... Yeah, I mean, he's not going on chat rooms and doing what Frosk is claiming these creeps on the internet are doing. I mean, frankly, this is a guy, from all I know, which is just this, that's expressing a very non-problematic view of his sexuality and what he likes and what he has found women like. And going, you know, and getting hate for it. But that's not hypocritical. I don't see that being hypocritical at all. There was a weird thing where they were talking about, because the one thing that struck me at first was when he was talking about, oh, a lot of girls or women will swallow and go, oh, that wasn't so bad. And that makes me go, okay, if you're in college and you've never had that done to you, okay, that story checks. This guy looks like he's 28 years old. And that's okay to date young women, of course. But how many women are you dating that are so inexperienced that have never swallowed before? At which point I would question. And then the very next thing he calls them girls. I'm not suggesting he's a pedophile, but they slowed it down and they focused on that. So maybe, I don't know what that's a little weird. Wiki says it is very hypocritical when he's sitting next to Frosk. Why? What is hypocritical? I supported every single thing that Frosk said, except her inaccurate take on Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb's hiring. Everything else she said, I absolutely think she's 100% right. But I also agree with this guy. What's hypocritical about it? Yeah, the dude says none of it's hypocritical. All right, we're going to move on, but thank you for sharing that clip, Bacon. I appreciate it. I'm glad. I'm sure there's more. I don't care. I mean, you know, is there more where he says something worse? Sure, maybe. But I you know, whatever. If there is, then I reserve the right to change my opinion. But I don't want to watch the whole stream watching Geeks and Gamers stream. So with that, we will move on. Thank you for following Cool Julian. I appreciate it, buddy. It absolutely is hypocritical, says Garth. If you tell people they are weird for sexualizing streamers and then go on video saying... Wait, okay, let me make sure I understand. It is hypocritical. If you tell people they are weird for sexualizing streamers and then you go on video saying you sexualize streamers, I don't think it's weird to sexualize streamers, and I don't think Frosk said it was weird to sexualize streamers. I think she was saying that it was weird if you are literally watching the video or G4 and you're typing all of these comments about how bangable she is, or talking about her and sharing with her your sexual interest and desire for her. That is weird and that is inappropriate. But if you're telling me Frost said, if she did, I don't agree with this part, but I don't remember her saying this, that if someone is watching her and she were to find out, not because they told her, but, you know, she just somehow magically discovered that, hey, this guy is, or this girl is, you know, whacking it to you, it's like, sorry, that's what happens. Frost didn't say it was weird. Hokage said it was weird to sexualize streamers. Where did he say that? Okay, so if he said that it was weird to sexualize streamers, then yes, he's a hypocrite. Absolutely. The other stuff that is in this doesn't necessarily make him a hypocrite to me. But if he said, hey, Frost, you're right, it's bad to sexualize streamers, unless this was a long time ago, which it doesn't look like, and he's changed and he's grown, then he's a hypocrite when it comes to that. I don't disagree with the other stuff he said, but sure, that would be, then it definitely makes you wonder about his other views and how much he is to be trusted when he speaks on any platform. But he shared on camera that he watches naked. So what? I mean, I wouldn't do that, but, you know, so what? You're hung up on him being a hypocrite. The point is he doesn't respect women. How does he not respect women? Forget the hypocrite, Matt DeMarco. What is not respectful about women? The pair says, hey, here's a thought. Who cares? I don't know. About 80,000 people over on this channel, and on this channel, I don't fucking know. We'll find out. If I go back to the ratings of this show and I watch them plummet at this point, I'll go, oh, don't talk about that anymore, unless I just really want to. The dude says there's a difference between harassing random streamers and him saying he watches Twitch's hot tub streamers nude. I think so. We all don't care, but it's surprising he was hired, says Snake. Yeah, I don't watch the fucking show. So, all right. There you go, whatever. If there's more data, I'm happy to take a look at it. I'm happy to, change my mind. I got no problem changing my fucking mind. When I have new data, or if I grow or learn new things, that's called learning, folks. Nothing he said was disrespectful, says the dude. This is just people wanting to, quote, get him for supporting the woman's rant. Could be. The Gillette commercial really got to some of you, huh? Says, man. Yeah, I liked the Gillette commercial, for example. I thought you're talking about the one where it's like, men stop being such fucking assholes. Yeah, I agree. Because I'm not an asshole. I'm not a male asshole, which means it didn't offend me. If you were probably offended by the Gillette commercial, then you're probably an asshole. Kind of like we were talking about at the very beginning of the stream. If somebody says something that hurts you, it's probably because they're cutting quick to the bone. I'm not a fucking asshole. In some ways I am, but not because I'm a guy. And in that, didn't bother me. All right, let's move the fuck on, though. I'm tired of talking about this. I'm sick of talking about it. I want to move on. Let's talk about racism. Well, we're getting there, boys. We're getting there. Come on now. Listen. Xbox tweets this out. Xbox tweets this out. Says, hey man, thank you to all the black developers, creators, and players who add so much gaming to gaming all year long. Read more about our Black History Month commitments. And then they go into a thread about that, about Xbox celebrating Black History Month. Okay. The best comments are a bunch of black people going, can I get a free Xbox? He's like, I'm black, can I get a free Xbox? But a lot of this, it's like, yeah, fucking put up or shut up. But a lot of this, though, is a bunch of, as you would assume, a bunch of racist people who every year, once at least in America, February rolls around. I think it's October in the UK. Once Black History Month rolls around, they've got to chime in about how, where's White History Month? Where's this? Where's that? Where's my thing? Where's my thing? And first off, I was disappointed to see so many of the comments being that. And the other thing was that I don't know if there are more racist, vocal racist gamers, people in gaming compared to, say, sports or whatever. But it does seem that they're very comfortable in a large amount sharing their backwards racist fucking views with people, right? So then this other guy goes out and he kind of makes these fake accounts, right? But he says he's posing as Xbox. He says, he tweets out, Xbox says, please be patient as we work. Well, no, actually, let me read you the whole thing. It says, Xbox celebrates Black History Month. And then he posts trying to trick people into thinking he's Xbox. Xbox says, please be patient as we work to ignore all your racist comments. And then this guy, who I assume is white, named Seth, says, next month will be for whites, right? And Xbox says, yes, Seth. Next month we'll talk about their role, white people's role in slavery, colonization, torture, the burning of cities, Jim Crow segregation, and police brutality. And then Seth says, yeah, I'm definitely switching to the PlayStation, right? And it's just like, a lot of people will say, yeah, I'm with you, Pixelbit. Pixelbit says there seems to be a lot of racist and incels in gaming. Yeah. Whether they're more concentrated in gaming, I don't fucking know. But they certainly make themselves known in gaming, right? Well, what's funny to me about this is that I'm not going to get into too many political things here. Let me just say this, and then I'll let you guys finish this topic and we'll move on. Because I know not everybody's going to agree with what I'm going to say, and that's fine. We can disagree and still be pals. Come on now. Rob, it's not Xbox. Xbox did the actual first post, but this comedian lied and said that he was Xbox. So Xbox didn't actually say, we'll talk about their role in slavery. But that would have been nice, right? it seems to me, and again, I'll shut up after this. You guys can have the last word. I don't want to get all political. Let me just share my thoughts. You can share yours. We'll move on. It seems to me that there are a lot of very, I don't know if it's guilt for a lot of white people. Like, people accuse me of having white guilt because I think all white people are racist. It's not what it sounds like. I don't mean all white people want to burn a cross and wear a hood. That's not what I'm talking about. I feel no guilt about being white. I don't think about being white, which is a privilege. I don't have to think about the color of my skin. That's not evolved. That's a privilege I get. Most black people or people of color are aware, at least in America and a lot of other places, about the color of their skin. Okay, so I don't think about it, but I certainly don't feel guilty about it. But you've got so many white people who consistently, even though critical race theory is not what they think it is, but when people are saying, hey, let's teach the actual history of America, no, you can't do that. Or when Xbox is taking the piss, or this comedian's taking the piss and saying, well, there are a lot of things the white folks did. Trust me, we celebrate them all the time. All year long, we celebrate the white people, whether it's awards or giving them jobs or this, that, or the other. But, can we at least make sure children coming up know that at least a big part of racism is coming from a lot of this shit, like slavery, colonization, torture, all this stuff, bombing Black Wall Street, all this stuff. You can't teach it. You can't talk about it. If you talk about it, you are a lefty, progressive white person who has white guilt. Why can't we talk about it? It's true. Doesn't mean the white people are bad. Doesn't mean the white race is terrible. But it does mean that we're not going to heal unless we are comfortable with everybody knowing and being aware of some of the bad shit that went down. Natives, same thing with indigenous people. So I'm done. You guys can talk. I'll read some of the best comments, but I don't want to make this political. I'm bringing it up because it's related to games. Why can't it be talked about year round, says Zanmoff? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the history of Black History Month, so I don't know how it got, Cosmic Bandito says, I don't get the hostility of Black History Month. I think it's because it's the same reason certain white people go, why can't I say the N-word? It's like, you can, but you're an asshole. Where's my straight parade if there's a gay parade? It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Black people, Native American people, gay people, they've been shit on for a long time and treated horribly for a long time. You're a straight white dude, you're good. No one's saying you can't have things. Don't be such a fucking baby. Seems like most of the white people love talking about it, don't actually know many black people. That's probably true. David, it's 2022. Jesus Christ, people have healed. You're trying to move backwards. Sir, I'm not a black person. Are you a black person? You might be. But I can tell you that when the black people tell me, when the indigenous people tell me, when the women tell me, when the gay folks tell me, we've healed, we can move on, that's when I'll be comfortable saying they've healed, we can move on. It's not for me to tell the black community when racism's over. How the fuck would I know when racism's over? Bacon says, Jaffe, there's a report saying you're racist since you refused to hire a black person at Bartlett Jones. Is it true? Oh, yeah. But can't Whoopi talk about how the Holocaust was human on human violence and not about Jewish people? Absolutely. I think what Whoopi said was ignorant because the way race was defined then, it absolutely was a racial problem. The way she was defining it, I understand what she meant, but it was ignorant in the historical context of the Holocaust. But anybody who's followed Whoopi Goldberg's career since before Steven Spielberg, a Jew, directed her in The Color Purple and put her on the map for a lot of people, would know that she's a philanthropist. She is not a racist. She is not an anti-Semite. She might have views I don't agree with, but no, I think it's ridiculous they took her off the view. People forget history, says Sector. No reason any person to feel guilty if you're white or purple. Just respect each other. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Why does everything got to be political? Because it is. The only person that asks, why does everything have to be political, champion, is probably somebody who doesn't have to deal with everything being political. Right? I mean, I agree with you. It sucks. And I try not to bring it up in my show as often as I can. I'm passionate about this stuff, but I like discussing it. I like hearing the opposite view and different views. But sometimes you bring it up, and I try not to, because I know not everybody likes it, and I apologize. And we will move on. I'll shut up. Let me get the final comments, and then we'll move to a video game story. You DM me. Oh, good, Rocket. Okay, yeah, I'll get back to you. I do all the prize stuff on the weekend, and then I'll have Jill send everything out and everything on Wednesday. I'll get to it. If I haven't responded to it, it's just because I've been busy. I haven't had a chance yet. Black American people need reparations. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, I'd have to understand what you mean a little bit better. Black culture is the most copied culture of all, says Zan, of all time, not just here, but all over the world. I don't understand what the problem is. Yeah. I don't know if I would agree. I'm not saying you're wrong. It wouldn't surprise me. But I don't know. So I can't really speak to that, but it sounds true. Where did that go? I wanted to read this comment real quick. Indy Nobu says, as a black man, I'm told to just get over racism. It's over. This is the most ignorant thing you can say to a black person, right? It's like, who are you? Unless the guy who said it is black. But I'm not black. I'm not gay. I'm not a woman. I'm not an indigenous person. I'm not, who am I to tell any of those people that your days of being repressed and beaten and lynched and marginalized, that's over? Really? Okay. Yeah, well, there's no doubt, Gravedoll. People say companies virtue signal. That's just marketing, plain and simple. Of course. Look, what did we talk about with Phil Spencer earlier on? Anytime a company reaches out and says something nice as a company, it doesn't mean that the intention behind it is not also personally kind, but you're doing it. You also have to be aware that there's a PR angle. Of course, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Black people in the U.S. view race differently from what I've seen other countries. The Nazis saw everything through the lens of race. Right, it is a very different... That's where I thought Whoopi Goldberg was ignorant, just like Gina Carano. I don't think should have been fired, but I thought a lot of her posts on social media were stupid and ignorant. But I don't think she was actively going out saying, let's kill Jewish people. That wasn't even what she was even close to saying. All right, you want me to take this call? I'm going to take one call, then we're moving on from this topic. The next topic we're going to talk about, just so I can tell you, it is video game loaded. We're going to talk about some Facebook stuff. We're going to talk about horror games. I apologize. I don't like to spin off into these topics, but sometimes, especially when it's game related, you got to do what you got to do. Let us move on to a call, though. This is our friend Lucy Goosey calling back. Lucy Goosey, what's up?
Hey, man. Hey, I just want to say that this whole race thing coming up in the gaming industry or game community, it's like these people are so used to every commercial, every game character being white that anytime a character is black or just something, just the word black is mentioned by like a Twitter account, they get this knee-jerk reaction. That just shows how much their normal view of the world is like every commercial, everyone appearing in the commercial has to be white. Otherwise, It's political or forced.
I agree. I do agree with that. And again, I don't really. I know this is going to sound condescending because it is condescending, but I don't mean to say it because it's condescending. The American education system is horrible, and the fact that you have people that can stand proudly and say America is the best country on the face of the earth, who have never traveled, who have never studied any other countries, who don't have any friends who are not lily white, whose history goes back to Europe. I think it doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean America is not a great country, but it's such a childish view that should be abandoned after the age of 12. And you should have a more nuanced view of the world and of people and of race and of politics. And instead, it's just this very simple view that sounds like something you would hear a fifth grader say. And so I can't fault them, because if that's how you were educated by your family and or your school, I can't blame you for that. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, it's messed up. But also, like, some of those people, not all of them, some of those people that are racist and they think America is the greatest country, they then turn around and then, they say America is the greatest country, but also they hate an enormous group of Americans. Like, how does that even work? If you love America so much, then how do you hate?
Well, they love their version of America, which is the version that votes like me. But if you truly believe in America and you believe in the Constitution, you would be looking at people like I look at a lot of the people in the chat that I don't agree with, but I say, that's democracy. That's a republic. We don't have to agree to still be countrymen. That's part of what makes that's part of.
Why do you have to be white or black, or why do you have to always like divide your own people in these stupid categories?
Well, yeah, that's less American. That's just more fundamental human nature of greed and fear.
Yeah.
But anyway,
one more thing. But also, if you don't live in America and you hear and read all these things, it's kind of weird, because America assumes there's a black culture and there's a white culture, and that makes no sense, because like European countries, they have their own culture, their own language, etc. They're not all the same. You can just exchange them for each other. And the same goes for Africa. Like, Africa is a huge continent. The rest of the world can fit into it. And every country there has its own culture and everything else. So,
I absolutely hear you. I hear you. Thanks, Lucy. You were breaking up. I'm going to disconnect you. Yeah, like Wiki says, it's a melting pot, and that's not just a melting pot regarding race. It's a melting pot regarding ideas. We should, unless somebody's ideas are literally harming someone. Okay, unless somebody's ideas are harming someone or inciting violence, we should try to connect with people, even if we don't like them, even if we disagree with them, and try to bring them around, if it's possible. Okay, let's move the fuck on, though. I appreciate the call. Thank you for calling in, buddy. So I want to talk about this just real quick, because we talked yesterday on the show about... Hey, Cal? And I got to shut the door. Otherwise, you'll be hearing the dog. Is Joe Rogan harming anyone? I think the problem with Joe Rogan is some of his listeners are fucking stupid, but that's the problem with everybody, right? So I think if anybody takes actual medical advice from anyone other than a doctor they trust, they're a fucking moron. And unfortunately, some people do. So, and I don't think, and to be fair to Joe Rogan, I haven't watched all of his stuff, Sector, but I will say, when Joe Rogan says what I have watched of him, I don't think Joe Rogan is sitting there. He's telling you his take on things, but I think he would go. He would not say, and I think he's right. Maybe there's a lot of evidence to the contrary. I think he's right in that when he says, I don't give medical advice. I bring people on, I give them a platform for a little bit. It's a big fucking platform, but I also bring on people who have differing views. And he said the other day he's committed now to bringing on people right after the ones that give more controversial views, the more traditional view. Right, Wiki, I agree. He's just having a conversation. But I mean, you have to be careful. You still have to be responsible. But yeah, I like Joe Rogan. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, and I have not seen the video going around with him saying the N-word. And if he has, then that's really unfortunate. I don't know why a white person feels the need to say an N-word unless they just don't like black people, in which case that's really unfortunate. Okay, I want to move on though. So we talked yesterday about this woman who claims that not claims, I'm sure it happened, but it's this woman who used the phrase, I was sexually assaulted, I was raped, gang raped in Facebook's Horizon, which is sort of their current version of VR chat, right? And it was interesting, though, because even though the language was stupidly hyperbolistic, and it was very clearly trying to get people to click, and if you don't know about VR and the metaverse and stuff, you would be forgiven for thinking this was terrible and the future's awful. But this is actually interesting, though, because the very next day, and I don't think it's a response, but this is good. I like this choice that Facebook. It'll be a while before I can call them Meta. Yeah, the dude says the woman who made up a story to hurt her competitor. I mean, they did say that she worked for another metaverse company, but they didn't name it. I don't know how real this story was. Doesn't matter. Here's the point. They unveiled something today. No, Morgan, we're about to get to horror games in just a second. It's called Personal Boundary that they have revealed, okay? The new option prevents avatars from coming too close to one another in virtual worlds, creating more personal space for people and making it easier to avoid unwanted interactions. This is an article from PC Gamer. When someone gets too close to you, their forward movement is halted. The distance between avatars will be locked at just under 4 feet at launch. There's no visible barrier or haptic feedback when someone is halted, so users won't be aware someone is trying to run up on them. Avatars can move past one another when personal boundary is active, so you don't block or trap users in a certain space. It's always going to be on by default. Obviously, you can turn yours off if you want. The article says, as for why this is necessary, and I like this, I think this is a good idea. The simple truth is, it's for the same reason forum moderators are necessary. Speaking of which, thank you, RPG. Don't think I don't know what you're doing in there. I appreciate it, buddy. Some people just cannot bring themselves to behave like an actual human in an online setting. Creepy behavior and outright abuse are unfortunately common in VR. The New York Times, for instance, this is all from PC Gamer, reported in last December, more than 100 problematic incidents were recorded by a single person over an 11-hour session in VR chat, some involving people who claim to be under 13 years old. It goes on and on, but this is true. I told you guys I was in Big Picture in VR the other day, and it certainly wasn't sexual, but this little fucking kid, he sounded like a little kid, comes up to me, gets right in my fucking face, blocks the movie, starts throwing popcorn. And I'm sure him and his buddies were laughing and having a great time, and I'm like, bitch, I'm trying to watch Kill Bill Volume 2. Now, for me, it's easy. I'm just like, block, right? But I think this is important. It's going to make people feel a lot safer, and they're going to have a lot better experience. I think this is a really good decision. I don't know why you needed a diagram for it. Facebook put out a diagram. Like, if you don't understand what this boundary system is, let us show you what it looks like to have people stand 4 feet away from each other. So whatever. But I like this idea. You can't hear them if they're 4 feet away. Unless they're shouting, I think. But what they said is sometimes people would get up right to your ear and start whispering all this creepy shit. Not only was I groped last night, says a tester who was testing out Horizons, which is the meta thing. Not only was I groped, I don't really know what that means, but there were other people who were supported this behavior from this character that made me feel isolated. We believe personal boundary, says Facebook, Meta, whatever, is a powerful example of how VR has the potential to help people interact comfortably. It is an important step, and there's still much work to be done. We'll continue to test and explore new ways to help people feel comfortable in VR. I like it. It's good. It is going to allow spending more time in VR be more comfortable to everyone other than just fucking geeks who want to sit around and go, I think that I want to see her Facebook naked. Because if you want to grow this shit, you need the mainstream, and the mainstream ain't putting up with this shit. Okay, RPG, I know. The verbiage they use, I was groped, I was gang raped, all this shit, I get it. It's a little, it's dumb. But you understand it, though. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean it is, certainly it's less troubling and problematic than actually being groped or raped, for God's sakes, of course. But it doesn't mean it's nothing. It still is harassment. It causes people to do, there's been suicides over shit like this. There are, I think in Facebook's case, it's just money. People will leave. They'll be like, fuck it, I'm not going back in there. But it's also, it's not. So Snake says it's very over the top. It makes a good article. It's not over the top, though. I think that's what I said yesterday. That sort of the quote warning I gave is you really do, guys. Like VV says, this is insane. These people are insane. You have to be able, in my opinion, you have to be able to look at this and extract out the nutrition of this article, right? The obvious hyperbole and clickbait. I was groped. I was raped. Oh no, the metaverse is a dark alley. Okay, I get it. We all agree. There's nothing doubtful about that. But the truth, though, is you guys are all familiar. We have it right now in the stream where someone is trolling or botting, right? It affects people's enjoyment and productivity and mental health going on the internet, whether you're in VR, whether you're on your phone, and being harassed, bullied, attacked and or come on to because you happen to be a woman, or to act like that's not a real meaningful problem that comes with being online and being anonymous is dumb. So I'm bringing this up because yes, it's funny, it's hyperbolic, it's dumb, it's clickbait, it's sky is falling, it's fear tactics. We should talk about that. But to act like this is not a good thing, come on now. Jacob's getting nutrition. I appreciate it. It's funny, though, the real Adam Krigler guy reached out and said, hey, man, I don't know who that was. So if anybody wants to reach out to Adam Krigler, he wrote me, but I don't know him. He can call in let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because he's saying this ain't me. Are you kidding me? Yeah, Wiki says Adam is cool. This is a bloody bot. Adam is live right now. Yeah, somebody go over there and tweet him and say, hey, this fucker's back trying to promote your show. And we know it's not you, but see what you can do. I'm a man. I was groped in the big picture too. It's going to happen. Yeah, but it's not going to happen as often to men. I know it happens to men. This is what I was talking about with the whole racist thing. It's like, yes, white people have it tough too. White people can have terrible poverty and bad education examples and all this stuff. It's harder, though, if you're a woman. It's harder if you're a black person in certain circumstances. Yeah, somebody should go in there and spam the David Jaffe show. That's right. Gavin and Games. That's right. Thank you, Rob the Mod. Appreciate it. And thank you, RPG. I think the thing is people want the internet to be the safest space ever. Well, guess what? It's not the internet. I understand that. But in the internet, just like if I want to fly, I can fly in virtual space. If you have a company that is able to solve this problem for its customers, it's problem solved. I don't think that Disneyland has skinhead, anti-Semitic, anti-Black Day for their KKK members. They do it for the gay folks. They do it for the goths. They do it for all kinds of organizations. But they don't do it for people that they feel is bad for their brand. So I think this is great. Sector says if she didn't work for a firm that competes with Facebook, I would be inclined to believe her. Yet whether or not her story is true, you'd be a moron to act like this isn't an ongoing problem that's been around since we've had the goddamn bulletin board systems back in the fucking 80s. Come on now. All right, let's talk about horror movies. This got kicked off. VV says, I agree it's not a good thing, but the motivation of this women, was not about that. It's a power game to show how she is woke. I don't know who you're talking about. There's a woman yesterday who may not even be real that claims she was, quote, groped and gang raped in Facebook's metaverse. Okay? Is that a real story? I don't fucking know. But you know good and well that has happened numerous times. If I can figure out how to broadcast from my Oculus, I'll stream this weekend. I'll go in, I'll make a real sexy lady avatar, and I'll just see, and I'll stream it out to you guys. Let's see what happens. I guarantee you in the first fucking, 20 minutes, I'll have people being inappropriate. I just want to see. I've never tried that. I'll try it. And then I'll go in as a black guy. I'll go in as a black guy. I bet y'all get people saying the N-word. Absolutely. Come on now. My avatar right now looks just like me. It's not like anyone's coming on to me or being racist towards me. I look like this, but in a cartoon version. I look like a cartoon version of a biker who hates everybody who's not like from Europe. Because I know that's what the beard does. Okay. Let's keep going. Hello, Brad Glasgow. Good to see you. That's what I should do. I should do a whole live stream where I take a bunch of you right-wingers who come to my show, which I love you come to my show. We don't have to agree on everything. And we should all go into the metaverse as sexy women and then as black men. And let's just watch what happens. And you tell me after that if you think it's appropriate. Horror games, baby. That's my favorite. Game Informer put out an article yesterday saying, hey, we got some good horror games coming down the line. Spazbo, I'll talk to you about that. I would love to try that. Well, yeah, I think if Mass Produce says I look very jolly. I think I look jolly from afar. When you get close, you see the Jew nose, and you're like, wait, he's got the redneck racist beard, but he's got the Jew nose. I cannot compute. I'm the ultimate weapon against terrorists or anti-Semites because I'll just make their heads explode. It's like, I don't know whether I should hate you or invite you to have a beer. Jaffe, if you were triggered by that, why are you going to a lobby that has people? They weren't going, Sector. Sector says, Jaffe, if you're triggered by those things, why are you going to a lobby that has people like that? They're not going to the virtual metaverse of the KKK yearly meeting. They're not even going to the Fox News Channel metaverse. They're literally in the core lobby of the jumping off point. They're like in the atrium of the fucking Horizons. So if you can't be safe, if you can't be unaccosted in basically what is the room for everyone, what do? Just stay off the internet? Scott Woodruff, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, would you talk to a libertarian? I would talk to anyone. I would talk to anyone. Unless they are basically breaking terms of service, I would speak with them. It doesn't mean I have to agree with them. I might say to their face they're a fucking moron. But sure, there's a lot of stuff about libertarianism that I agree with. But I don't agree with a lot of it. Oh, you goddamn right, Jacob. The Souls game, you mean Bloodborne, Sleepy Hollow vibe? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's get to horror. Come on now. The most anticipated horror according to Game Informer. I want to show you some of these. Because what I think often is I don't think that horror is horror in games. People call Resident Evil horror. Maybe the first ones, but the remakes, come on now. Resident Evil 2 Remake is one of the best games I've played in a long time. That's not a horror game, right? There's nothing horror about it. It looks like horror. It's got the candy wrapping of horror. That's not a horror game. That's an action adventure game, okay? What I love about horror is that you are getting more and more games that are really trying to be more about the fear. Okay, so I wanted to look with you guys at these top games of 2022 that are horror and see if we agree. There's one on here I've been waiting for a long time. I can't wait for. I'm going to show you guys some trailers while we're talking, but let's go through the list first. I have never played Fear Sector. I really want to play that. I think you can buy it on Xbox now digitally. I should get that game. Maybe I already did buy it. I might have bought it a couple weeks ago. Okay, here we go. Number 1, Atomic Heart. Now, I'm going to show you the trailer while we're talking. I'll turn down the volume, of course. This is Atomic Heart. It's been on my radar, but it's been on my radar as an action game. I don't know why they're saying this is horror. Now, I haven't watched the trailer, so I'm watching it right now with you. So maybe it will become a horror, but I've always looked at this and thought, well, now it kind of looks horror. And this is coming out day one Game Pass, PC and Xbox. So that's always fun. But let's see. Okay, this looks pretty fucking weird. It is pretty fucking weird. Okay, I'm excited. This is now on my radar. Everything I had seen about Atomic Heart up until now had been more of this stuff. It just kind of looked like a sci-fi shooter. It didn't feel to me like this. This is fucking crazy. Look at that guy. Okay, I'm absolutely interested in this now. The sci-fi stuff is I could take or leave it, but when it starts getting surreal sci-fi, just pretty fucking cool. Like, that stuff I don't care about. I don't care about robots. Although, oh my God, have you guys seen VHS, the new one? If you haven't seen VHS, the new one, oh, that's cool. The story about the woman that gets turned into a cyborg, whoo, Lordy have mercy, pick a bale of cotton. That is absolutely disturbing and delightful. I might do a pot and popcorn coming up, not this week, but a future pot and popcorn I might do with that VHS movie. It's the new one. I don't know if it's VHS 81 or I think it's 91. There you go. That's Atomic Heart. That is on their list. They didn't prioritize the list. Maybe it was VHS 94. Magello was Magello the one that had that had the cyborg story at the end. Okay, so John, thank you, buddy. John says RE7 and PSVR had me sweating and screaming. It was so immersive. The Inpatient on PSVR was fantastic. Didn't play that one. I did play RE7 on PSVR all the way through, and I thought it was just fucking fantastic. I didn't get scared, though. There's very little scary. I mean, there's jump scares, but there's very little scary to me about that game. It's just monsters. They're like, it's a fucking monster, right? You know, whatever. All right, so then they say, Game Informer says, all right, well, Atomic Heart's up there. Callisto Protocol, which I am very excited about. I don't think I don't think that hang on a second. I don't think that they've released anything from this. So these are the fellas who basically made Dead Space 1 and 2 and 3, I think, but certainly 1 and 2. And 2 is one of the best games I've ever played. And so they've said, we're going back to outer space. We're making a horror game. So I am absolutely stoked for this. I'm very excited for this. So Callisto Protocol, but we don't really have any footage to see anything. Right, Michael, you're absolutely right. So what is it actually going to be? Who the fuck knows? But they have earned credit in the bank for me regarding, I'm there day one unless I just hear reviews that it's terrible. It's not on PS5? Atomic Heart, Morgan? I thought it was coming to PS5. It's just, it says right here, platform release 2022, PS5, Xbox, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC. It's just not, it's Gamepass day one though. Well, wait a minute. Okay, Zero Signal says, wait a minute. If it's not scaring you, it doesn't mean it's not horror. That's like saying, I don't think Big Bang Theory is a comedy. No, I can walk you through why it's not horror. I can walk you through why it has the trappings of horror. So if it, you have to define horror first, right? And then you have to say, do the game mechanics, not the wrapping of it, elicit those feelings and those responses in you. So if you look at, oh yeah, Hail Ratma, absolutely. If you look at Resident Evil 2 Remake, for example, why it's got the setting of horror, but it plays more like an action game. You're shooting monsters, but you're not, yeah, just because a game has scary parts doesn't mean it's horror. I mean, ultimately though, if you think it's horror, it's horror. It's not really about, I'm not going to debate the definition of horror with you any more than, like you said, Big Bang Theory. I'm not going to debate the definition of comedy with you. But I do think if you're looking at horror as a book or a movie and what those establish, and you made Resident Evil as a straight up 1-to-1, which a lot of people say the new movie was, but it was terrible. I think people would say that's an action movie. I don't think you'd say it is horror. Yeah, I don't think Days Gone is horror. I think the story of Days Gone is horror. I think the story of Doom is horror, but it's not horror. But okay. Okay, Callisto Protocol. There we go. Okay. Then we have this, Choo Choo Charles. Now, I don't know if this is just going to be a gimmick or if this is going to be, and again, this still looks like an action game, so I don't know what this is. But as you complete missions and find scrap, you upgrade your train's speed, armor, and the damage of its machine gun. Why does the train have a machine gun? That's because an arachnid-like train monster is hunting you the whole time. I have no idea. This sounds like horror, though, in terms of the monster and stuff. But this is the trailer. It's only a minute long. It definitely has people talking because the antagonist is so fucking weird and crazy. But I don't know if it's going to be a good game or not. But I'm absolutely looking forward to this because I've never quite seen a bad guy sort of have this level of what the fuck. And what the fuck to me is always a great sign of horror. And also just the mechanics, it is more survival. It's like, yeah, you're being chased by this thing that's actually creepy. And on top of it, you've got to go out and craft and scrounge and survive in order to build a train that is strong enough that it will race you away and get away from this bad guy. So this is 2022. I am very much, look at him, the Choo Choo Charles. Now, there is a Stephen King children's book called Choo Choo Charlie. I'm wondering if when this comes out, they're going to need... They're going to need someone to talk to a legal department because it's kind of close. I mean, it's not, he didn't write a horror book for kids, but he absolutely wrote a book about an anthropomorphic train and he calls it Choo Choo Charles. So, or Charlie. Rocker Matt, hey buddy, how are you, sir? Thomas the Tank Engine is horror. Well, yeah, it's very surreal. Okay. Then they go down their list. They say Dead Space. Now, I'm not very interested, truth be told. I'm not all that interested in Dead Space, the remake, because, frankly, I didn't really like the first Dead Space. I adored the second Dead Space. I'm more interested in what the team that made it is going on to do. If all they're doing is like it's the same game, but we're gonna ramp up the visuals, sure, I'll give it a play. It says they are going to take some liberties with the remake. Isaac, for example, won't be a silent protagonist as in the original. Okay, so we'll see what happens. But for me, Dead Space 1, maybe I should go back and play it. But Dead Space 2 blew my mind. I thought Dead Space 1 was not great, but you guys in the chat are saying it's really fucking good. So maybe I will go back and play it. Yeah, so Wicked Snake says, or Wiki, I can't do your name, man. Snake 07 says he liked the first Dead Space more. All right, I should go check it out. Mute Mo says I finish horror games the most. I wonder. I haven't thought about that. What genre I finish more? Good horror games, says Milkmaster, include a chase where you don't exactly know how close the monster is to catching you. You just know run and hide. I sort of agree with you. But the problem I have with this sort of subgenre of horror where it's something chasing you is that when it chases you the first time, you are absolutely immersed, I feel, in the oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Especially if failure, you've been trained by other deaths to know that that's going to send you far enough back that it's going to really be a pain in the ass to slog through it. Like, what's the game called? Bloodborne, which I'm addicted to right now. Bloodborne I would say Bloodborne is a horror game because Bloodborne fundamentally is about the fear of dying and losing something valuable, which is almost the very definition of linear narrative horror. You know, the fear of protecting your child, the fear of protecting your life, the fear of someone finding out a secret. All of these things are sort of the bedrock of a lot of great horror stories. I don't want to lose those fucking blood echoes, right? Are the trappings of Bloodborne horror? Sure. But the mechanics are actually horror as well. All the Souls games, sure. But okay. Jaffe, oh shit, is your reaction to every combat game with an enemy chasing you. Right. But the difference is in most horror games, like the last one I played where somebody chased me was that thing that was in a toy factory where you had those like hands that went out. It was like a bear or something like that. Not Five Nights, it was something else. And when you start getting chased, the first time, it's really creepy. But immediately it catches you and you die. And then almost immediately they throw you back in and it's no longer about being immersed in the horror. It's about going, okay, the left coming up, I have to duck. The right coming up, I have to basically jump, get the ladder, and keep moving forward, right? That starts to feel like you're playing Dragon's Lair. Like it's just quick time events, basically. So so many games lately do that with horror that it really kind of, it very quickly kind of loses its fear and just becomes like memorizing the layout, and then it pulls you out of the experience. One of the best horror games I played this year was called The Alien Cube, which was very Lovecraftian. I did not understand the ending to save my fucking life, but it was a real short game, about 3 hours, 4 hours long, so you never got bored or busy learning mechanics, and it pulled you out. You stayed immersed in it. It was pretty fucking good. They should make a game where if you get caught, the game continues. That would add another layer. There's always been that conversation about how do you punish the player narratively or mechanically without killing them, but you still have that fear. I don't have an answer to it, but we've been discussing that forever. Evil Dead the game, I don't think this is horror. I'm excited for it, but everything I've seen about this game, other than the trappings of this game, nothing says horror to me about this game. It just looks like a really fun romp in a great universe that a lot of people fucking love. Ghostwire Tokyo, now that we've seen more about this game, I don't know why you would call this horror. It has the trappings, but it looks like a potentially tactical shooter game. It doesn't seem like a scary game. That happens on Dead Rising. I've never played any of the Dead Risings. When you die in that game, what do you become, a zombie, and then what happens? You should see the issue with Sekiro where dying actually kills your world. Yeah, I haven't played it. I heard it was too hard. Does Spec Ops Line fall? I've never played Spec Ops The Line. Everyone says I should. Morgan says Ghostwire doesn't even look good, much less horror. I have no idea if it looks good or not. I'm on the fence. There are things I saw that made me go, that looks really cool. And there are things I saw that made me go, this looks like it's going to get really repetitive and boring. It almost looked like a launch title for, like, PS4. It was interesting, but they didn't have enough time to make what they really wanted to make. So it's just going to be room after room of combat. But I don't know if that's what it is, but I couldn't tell. Is Among Us horror? Yeah, I would say so. I would say Among Us is great horror. Yes, 100%. The Outlast trials. Now, I know a lot of people love Outlast. I haven't played Outlast 2. I did play Outlast 1. Maybe there isn't a 2. Maybe this is the sequel. But Outlast 1 was about, they gave it away on PS Plus way back in the day, and it was like I was a journalist, and I went into this thing, and this asylum, and there was a guy behind these hanging plastic doing butchery and whatever, and he chased me and shit. And I liked it okay, but I kind of got bored of it. But this is Outlast Trials. This is the sequel or the second. Okay, there is an Outlast 2. It's a prequel to 1. Okay, so this is the first proper sequel. I know some people are excited about it. Let's talk about it while we watch the trailer from IGN. Again, it's like only a minute. But I skimmed through it, and it looked pretty good. But if it's just another thing where someone's chasing me, what the hell? Oh, it's at the end. If it's, I'm not interested in that. All right, let's see what this is. So, and apparently this is about, you play the people who were experimented on, which I guess gave rise to the Outlast story, but I don't know. Sector says, Jaffe, in Sekiro, if you die, you not only start over, but the NPCs you're supposed to help start getting sicker and sicker. Punishment for death was the death of your friends. All right, that's interesting. Does it do anything to affect your gameplay if I lose those NPCs and they die, or is it just a story punishment? I believe horror is an art style. It doesn't have to be scary. There's no right answer. I mean, certainly horror can be an art style if it evokes something creepy when you look at it. But I don't think, here's what I'll tell you. It's kind of like that. It's a horror version of the narrative dissonance conversation. If you have a horror game that looks like horror, but plays like action adventure, it's fine. I mean, there's some of the best games ever made do that, like some of the Resident Evils. But it absolutely doesn't feel, to me, like horror. This doesn't really interest me. This just kind of feels like cliche horror tropes. But I know a lot of people loved Outlast, so, you know. Martha is Dead is the one I have my eye on the most. There was a demo of this, and I just never got around to playing it. It comes out, I think, this month. Yes, February 24th, PS5, Xbox, PS4, Xbox One, PC. I don't think this is Game Pass or anything. I think you buy it, it's like $30. I don't know how much it is. But let's watch the trailer of this. This is the most recent trailer. I didn't play the demo. Maybe some of you guys played the demo. Would I consider the movie Get Out horror? Absolutely, 100%. Okay, so this is Martha is Dead.
Yes, Julia?
Martha's not here.
Because she's dead.
Did I hear a story of the white lady again?
But you always find that story scary.
Well, I won't hear it anyway.
Nanny. But I'm with you, so I know nothing can hurt me.
Who's Luca Dalco?
Oh, all right, little one. There was once a couple madly in love who would often stroll by a lake. But one day, in a fit of jealousy, the man drowned the young woman.
This is the story of Rob the Mod and Bacon Magma.
Brought death.
How can love also be so bad?
I have seen Lies of P. Yeah, looks cool.
With age of it. The man confessed, so he was hanged in the middle of the very same lake where he had killed his beloved.
How do you hang somebody in the middle of the lake? What are you hanging them from?
Everywhere. But the girl's body was never found.
Oh, Mike Flanagan? Oh, fuck yeah.
Since then, the spirit of the girl,
Zaf, I agree.
known as the
I agree
White
with you, Zaf.
Lady, wanders restlessly in search of relief from her eternal suffering. Only the life of another young woman can give the lady a moment of peace.
That's always terrible to hear. I'll never get used to it.
You never get used to that kind of pain, my sparrow. But those
Tree on an Island,
can
gotcha.
attempt to evoke the lady through a dark ritual and magic of the tarot. As the lady knows their suffering all too well, she could show them pity. Or she may not.
So I'm excited for this. I'll be playing this on the stream when it comes out in a couple of weeks. I like this because it kind of, I don't know if it's true or not, and I'll probably read the reviews first, but it kind of sort of feels like, to me like, almost like Edith Finch meets horror. I don't know if it's going to be that great of a game, but I'm excited for it. This is coming out on the 24th. So wait, we have two hitting this month, right? We have, okay, Atomic Heart is not, Jesus Christ. So now we've got, I'm not complaining, but now we've got Tokyo, Ghostwire Tokyo is hitting on the 25th. Grand Theft Auto is hitting on March 15th. And now Martha is Dead is hitting on the 24th. I remember Dino Crisis and Clock Tower, yes. Have I played Phasmophobia? I played a little bit of it online, but I did. What's a card game? This is not a card game. I played a little bit of it online. I was a little confused. I know there's a single player mode now, and I definitely want to go back and spend some time with it. Sons of the Forest sounds like a survival crafting thing. I don't give a fuck. I've never played a Bloodlines, a Vampire Masquerade, none of that. So I don't have any expectations or anything about this. But there you go. Those are Game Informers. Most anticipated horror games. Project Zero Maiden of Black Waters remaster. I want to say it was, maybe it was Retro Queen from Cult of Calypso was playing that recently. Said it was really, really good. I would absolutely like to play that game. I hear it's really, really good. That's actually already out though. What do you mean you're the only one? I'm glad I wasn't the only one who heard him say Grand Theft Auto. What? I don't understand. Grand Theft Auto for PS5 and Xbox is coming out on 15th. They only announced today that they are working on 6. Grand Theft Auto 5, Yeah, it's got the PS, it's got the 60 frames, it's got HD, it's got haptic feedback, it's got all the bells and whistles. Jaffe, do you think people should have concerns for GTA without having both Hausers? I mean, what do concerns give you? Do I think that's an interesting conundrum, and I'm going to be interested to learn how it gets solved by Rockstar? Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to be able to pass the torch to someone or to a group of people that are just as creative and interesting as those folks. But I'm not, worried about it. I'm just like, oh, all right. Or I'm not concerned about it. Yeah, GTA 5's online is free for 5 months, which is probably why I'll go with that. I have, you know what? I know Soma very well, Jake. I've never played it. I've watched people at Bartlett Jones play through it. I've watched a lot of videos on it, but I've never actually sat down and played it. Only because we were working on a story that might have been a survival horror game at Bartlett Jones that ended up, somebody said that kind of sounds like Soma. And I was like, okay, well, we need to get familiar with Soma to make sure it's not a ripoff and that we are bringing something new to the table. But I've never actually sat down and played Soma sort of proper. All right, let me show you. Hang on 1 second. I might do a freaky. We've gone long, which I love, but I'll do some. I'll do a Freaky Friday stuff later because I'm fried at this point. But I do want to tell you one more quick story. Is Elden Ring a horror game? I haven't played it yet, so I don't know yet. I want to tell you one more quick story. A designer at Nintendo. This is really cool. I mean, it's stupid, but it's cool. Your mileage may vary. This is coming out of Japan. There's a website called Doughtown, okay? And it's built around the philosophy or the word in Japanese that's called Maida, I think. Or it's called Aerodot or rough dot pixel art. It's basically the idea is you try to convey the most meaning with as few pixels as possible, okay? And so these things, I'm going to show you the website. They're basically, it says they're slightly above Atari level graphics or early NES games. And one of the guys that runs the company, I'm trying to find his name, worked at Nintendo, and he left Nintendo to find this company, what have you. I'll put a link to it right now if you're interested. But basically, you can go there and download clip art and things like that. But it's in this really cool fucking style. So I just wanted to show it to you because it's cool. So you can choose your categories and all of these. Can't read Japanese, so I don't know if it's free. I mean, it's pretty free because all you got to do is fucking right-click it and take the background out. I think it's already alphaed out. And you basically just get all of these cool categories. Here's holidays. So there's like a little Santa and another Santa here. So just letting you know it's a resource out there, assuming it's free. If it's not, you may have to pay for it. I don't fucking know. But I thought it was cool, and I'm probably going to be taking some of these and putting them on our screen here from time to time. So I think it would be really fucking cool. But that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got, fellas. That has been Gabbing in Games. I'm tired, man. That has been Gabbing in Games for Friday, February 4th. Let me read this from Heath Nation, by the way. This is over on Discord, just going back to the Frosk people, the G4 stuff. This is what he says. He says, let me tell you a story about my experience with Geeks and Gamers. So Geeks and Gamers obviously are the guys who have that website or that YouTube channel, and they were talking about that guy, the dude who said some weird sexist, quote, supposedly sexist stuff on his own Twitch stream. So he says, this is Heath saying, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I used to be a huge fan of Geeks and Gamers. I was even a premium member to the website at one point, but then Crax started to show as the months progressed. Jeremy, I don't know who that is, wound up exposing himself and his creation for what they really were, a company that centers around gamers in name only, basically Rooster Teeth 2.0. He never cared about gaming and sports and all that. He and his headliners only cared about themselves, so much they created a top 10 list, top 10 Mario Kart players, a hacker pedophile on stream just because they kept losing to her. Interesting. Now there are decent people associated with it. Maybe, absolutely. Unfortunately, I added the maybe. He said absolutely. Unfortunately, they're under the whim of Jeremy when it comes to their contracts. Okay, I know nothing about that site. I've skimmed it enough to know that I probably don't agree with a lot of their political takes. Like Darth Nugget says, leave them alone. Yeah, I don't know who they are. Okay. Thank you, buddy. This is from Sartaj Singh. He says, Resident Evil 2 Remake had elements of horror, from weighing options such as ammo scarcity and getting past zombies. It's pure survival horror. You know, I guess that would depend on what mode you played it on. I played it live on the stream, and I enjoyed it very much. It was one of my favorite games that year. But I didn't get the sense when I played it, I was having to be very careful about my inventory. I know what you mean. Like if you go back, I was playing Code Veronica recently. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And that, you're right. Limited resources and sort of the stress of that is very horror. I don't know if I experienced that in Resident Evil 2 Remake, but that may just be because I played it on normal. But if you played it hard, I could see what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And I appreciate the super chat, buddy. Am I going to see Jackass? I really want to, but I'm not going out to the Cock a Doodle Theater right now. So I will be watching it when it streams, which hopefully will be soon. It looks really funny. It's gotten a lot of great reviews, so I'm into it. All right, fellas, don't forget, if you're interested, tomorrow night, if you're a member, it's real easy to become a member. You just click the button down below. If you're watching on an Apple product, on your phone, you can go to the Safari and open it up. But regardless, you can click the link tree below, see if you're interested in becoming a member. But tomorrow night, for members only, we're doing Pot and Popcorn. These are the two movies we'll be showing. 4 o'clock California time is when we start. We're going to start with The Raid Redemption. Then we're going to roll on over to Tokyo Gore Police. I haven't seen either, but everyone who has seen both say they are both phenomenal, fun movies worth watching. So that is tomorrow. I probably will be streaming Bloodborne tonight, depending on a number of factors. Otherwise, I'm back next week, Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock, with more Gabbin' and the games. I'll see you on the Discord. I'll see you on the Twitter. I'll see you live. I'll see you on videos. Whatever it takes, baby. I'm watching you because it's creepy and I like being creepy. Thank you guys. Rob the Mod, RPG, thank you guys for doing... I'm not going to give that individual any attention. Thank you guys for doing what you did on the stream. I appreciate it. Everyone else, thanks for the great super chats, the great conversations, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.